Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the MJCast. You're joining us for episode 88, and the record date today is... When is this? Jamon, what is the date?
8.
8th. Is it really?
Yeah.
There you go. 8th of September, 2018. We're going to head 88 miles an hour into the future with lots of news and discussion. We're going to be joined for our main discussion topic by Courtney and cousin Kam of the Janet Today podcast. We've got stuff to talk about with Michael. We've got fashion line releases by Culture Kings and Cotton On, new books from Anthony King, Richard Lecocq, Francois Allard. We've got Vincent Paterson book coming out. We've got an amazing story about Michael Jackson scholarships in Jacksonville from a donation he made in 1984. There are so many things. There's good news, there's bad news, Casio news, charity news, Jackson news. It's a big show. Buckle in, 88 miles an hour. Let's go.
The following is a presentation from the MJCast, the internet's premier podcast on all things Michael Jackson.
You're listening to the MJCast by MJ fans for MJ fans.
The idea is to innovate, or else why am I doing it?
When I create my music, I feel like an instrument of nature.
You let it create itself, really. I know I do.
And I love to entertain. That's one of my favorite things. I love my fans. Just simply Michael Jackson.
Welcome to the MJCast, your source of news and discussion on the King of Pop.
Q, are we in the future or what? Where are we? Is this the Cafe 80s?
Cafe 80s. 88. 88 was such a good year for me. I remember a lot of that year. I had a great teacher. I had a great class at school that year. The whole year was a great year. And of course, in Australia, it was the bicentenary. So 1988, for the bicentenary celebrations, we actually had a World's Fair in Brisbane, where you live, at one of our famous best locations that we both adore there now. It's called South Bank. But in 1988, it was, World Expo 88.
Yeah,
it was
2.
Life-changing. You were 2?
I was 2 years old. I remember nothing about it, but apparently I went.
I remember a fair bit. It was awesome. And that and I think in conjunction with maybe seeing Disney on Ice in a couple of years after that were probably huge seeds for my Disney parks obsession. The mixture of the World's Fair and then seeing Disney at that impressionable age, that had me set up.
Very cool.
And didn't Michael tour Australia in around that time?
No,
was that 89?
He was in the wow. Actually, I might be wrong. I have a feeling he toured Australia in 87. Oh no, that when the Bad album came out. Hang on, I'm going to Google this right now. I think you're right.
89.
No, 89 was the second leg, so he was like in the States and stuff during that time. Hang on, Bad tour Australia. I know it's 87 or 88. Okay, well, the shows started 12th September 87. I think I got a feeling it was 87 in Brisbane.
Well, add Brisbane to your Google search, then you'll find it.
Yeah, that's what there's a YouTube video that says it, 87, November 28th. Because
I love the video. There's a photo, of Michael meeting the mascot of World Expo 88, Expo Oz, a platypus.
Oh, cool.
And I always wondered how that photo came to be because Expo was in 88, but Michael came here before that. So I was like, I wonder how that worked out.
Just before that. So maybe it was already made. And,
we are already off topic. Wow, that was quite a detour.
Oh, man, we got some follow-up to cover, don't we, since our last episode?
Yeah, there's one thing that you forgot to put on it, and I want to do it first before I forget because I will forget. I want to say thank you to Sean for our birthday episode, for being available, which was such a great coincidence that he was. But when he jumped on the line and you and Elise and I and Sean, we had nothing in front of us. We had no plan for the show. We had no questions. It was literally thrown together in the amount of time it took me for it to walk from in the city in Melbourne, where I was to get my lunch back to the hotel and then jump on the line. It was that quick.
I think we gave him 5 to 10 minutes notice. It was crazy.
Yeah, we were lucky that he was free.
Yeah.
But all of us together, thank you, and thank you guys. And yeah, big thanks to Sean for that, because the reception to that episode, the Michael Jackson Day, Michael's 60th birthday episode, has been terrific. It's been so positive.
It was a great conversation to have. It took us right back to that moment. Very cool.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, bad tour moment. There you go. That was one of the moments. So if you haven't heard that episode, head back to episode 87. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. And check it out, because people are talking about it. And there was some good music in that one as well. So that was one thing I wanted to say thank you to you guys and to Sean for that. But another thing, because it was such a rushed episode, I didn't get a chance to say thank you to a bunch of people for couple of episodes previous. It was the episode I did with Damien and Elise.
Yeah.
And I recorded that the day after my nana passed away, and you as well, because you weren't on the show, but you were still in the background.
I was in mission
talking
control
and
for
stuff.
That episode, I think.
You in? Yeah. But I want to say thank you to you and Elise and to Damien for helping me through that, and all of the listeners that sent me messages of condolences on social media. I read them all and I appreciated it very much. So thank you to everyone for that as well.
Oh, Q, you're such a special guy, mate. My heart really broke for you and your family in that moment. And yeah, it's never easy, is it?
No, it is not. It is not. But life goes on. And in the end, we had a great show. So it worked out pretty good. I held it together and we got through it. And all right, your turn. Follow up.
Yeah, so there was a thing that happened with Sony, like lots of things happened with Sony, but remember when we kind of found out about the instructions that they sent out to retailers, JB Hi-Fi and Sanity Music in Australia? The vinyl collection thing was about to come out, and they were sending them email instructions on basically what to write on their websites. And we discovered in those emails that they had instructed these retailers to call Michael Jackson a particular name that he did not like being called ever. And Q, what was that name?
Jacko. That was literally in the email.
Yeah, they actually wanted these retailers to call him Jacko. When we did a little bit of digging around, and actually weeks in advance from when that even happened, we asked Sony to not do that. We were in contact with one of the senior executives at Sony Music saying, look, this has been leaked to us. You need to, change this for various reasons. It wasn't just the word Jacko. There was heaps of other errors in the text as well, like factual errors and things. The guy that I was talking to failed to fix those things, seemed more interested in wanting to find out who leaked it instead of fixing it. So we took it a little bit further and got listeners of our show to email the CEO of Sony Music Australia directly to say this needs to be fixed, and it totally worked, because the next day after we started that campaign, I was on a beach. I just got off a boat. I was standing on a beach.
It was a school excursion.
It was a geography excursion. Yeah, it was a geography excursion. I had students all around me. Yeah, we got an email at that point from one of the principal lawyers at Sony Music, apologizing profusely for what happened and that it wouldn't happen again. And he rectified the situation and set up a phone call with us a little later, where we could sort of tell him our thoughts around their behavior and their relationship with Michael. So, yeah, it was an interesting time, but I wanted to say thank you to everybody that joined us in raising their voice, or raising our voice as one, to get that fixed up, and it was fixed up. So these things work when we do them, not all the time, but they often work. So let's continue to do that, and thank you for joining us.
Doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yep.
That's my word on it.
Q, you unfortunately, normally you go to a birthday lunch with your Perth MJ crew every year to celebrate Michael's life, but correct me if I'm wrong, but this year you had the weekend from hell with your work schedule.
You are lucky you cannot see my face. It is dark as hell at the moment. Still cranky about that. Oh, my God. My highest priority bid is weekends off because I have stuff to do. And, of course, that weekend we had planned for our local Perth charity lunch for Michael's 60th birthday. And they gave me a Thursday off. And then they had me on a 3-day trip, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, away over on the East Coast, coming back and then having Monday off. Absolutely useless. Sadly, I wasn't able to make the birthday lunch, but I know there was a few others. Because a little group, you know, there's nurses and teachers and childcare people, a surgeon in the group, and not everyone's schedule is always playing nice and aligned. So there was a few other people that wasn't able to make it as well. So in the end, we had to sort of cancel the little birthday charity lunch. But we're going to try and do something. September's flying past so fast. I can't even think when we might try. But it'll be sometime in the next couple of months. We'll do a little catch-up lunch. Yeah, so that was beyond disappointing, and I was not impressed. And I couldn't swap my trip. Like, there was one colleague that she goes, "Oh, I'll try and swap it with you." When we were looking at our rosters to do it, we would need to swap 10 days of the 28-day roster just to get that weekend off. And in the end, she couldn't do it because of family stuff, and that's perfectly understandable. So
yeah.
Anyway, that was disappointing. So I got home and I celebrated his birthday the day after when I finally got home, just listening to music and stuff. But this week I did have a trip and I got a good time in a city to catch up with our friend Paul Black, my first ever MJ mate, and that was wonderful. So we geeked out over Michael stuff all afternoon and evening. It was so cool. Yeah, and he showed me all these amazing photos from some trips he's had recently to the US, where he's been checking out like locations where Michael performed iconic performances. So Motown 25 performance,
Cool.
The famous MTV performance where, you know, the Dangerous medley, the whole medley, and he finished with You're Not Alone.
Yep.
So like the Thriller House. So he's gone around and been in these venues and then had like pictures or video and able to look up and compare, okay, this is where the stage was, or even going up on the stage, this is what Michael would have seen from his point of view.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Sort of just getting into the moment. So it was awesome getting that little tour of different venues. And I think he's got another trip coming up in October. And while he's over in the US, he will be doing another couple of venues of iconic sort of historical Michael locations. So it's like that book, the Touring with MJ book.
Yeah. Traveling with a King.
Yeah.
By Christoph.
Traveling with a King. That's right. So he's sort of taken that to like another level and sort of being in the moment and just visualizing and feeling what would it have been like in this particular theater for the Motown 25 performance with the Jacksons and then Michael with Billie Jean. So, but yeah, no, we had a big geek out and it was really good fun. So it was awesome to see Paul, and I know that he's been catching up on our episodes while he's been traveling and between jobs and things like that. So that was really cool. So shout out to Paul. I know you're listening at some point. Thank you. Love you.
Yeah, and in other follow-up as well, MJ History on Film podcast by Chris Maffey has wrapped up for the time being, unfortunately, very sadly.
Yeah. I don't know if we actually even had a chance to speak about it in one of our episodes, did we?
No, I can't recall. I think, yeah, I don't know, but it certainly, it all happened very quickly, didn't it?
It did. So in case you didn't know and had already subscribed to this and you go, well, where's the show gone? There was going to be a podcast called MJ History on Film. It was going to be chronicling and discussing every one of Michael's short films before coming back, and then maybe doing other stuff like Jackson stuff and Moonwalker and things like that. Incredible presenter, incredible talent, Chris Maffey, and he'd got the teaser up, and then the first episode had come out, but due to some personal life stuff, he had to not continue the show, which I can understand. You know, podcasting takes a lot of effort and a lot of time, and if there's something happening in the background of life, it can just be too much. So I respect his decision not to put out a half-baked product or to rush something out that isn't of the best quality, because as we feel, Michael deserves the best. So the show got wrapped up very quickly, but who knows what the future holds. I have strong hopes and feelings that when the time is right, this sort of podcast and project will come to be. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have very, very similar thoughts to that. I mean, Chris did an outstanding job on that first episode. It was perfect, really. And he came out the gate with a product that was already at a level of perfection that I was very jealous of in terms of production. It was amazing, and you know, he just made it
That's
seem
his day
so.
job, man. That's different.
That's right, but he sort of made it look so effortless, and I just think and the passion was so real, and he talks about it as being, you know, a lifelong sort of thing that he wanted to do. So yeah, there's some roadblocks there right now, and he's going through some personal stuff. But I can tell you what, a guy like that with a passion for MJ like that, he's not going to be able to bottle that forever. I reckon Chris is going to be back one day, and we'll be ready for when he launches that show again, because it was so good.
Absolutely. Chris, if you need anything, reach out. We got you, man.
That's it. Moonwalk Walks is a thing, and it's happening, and Stephen at MJFFC, Michael Jackson Fans for Charity, is heading that up. It's a really cool initiative. It's where, if you didn't know about it, Stephen's sending out a copy of Moonwalk, Michael's autobiography, to every continent on planet Earth, including Antarctica. I'm yet to hear from Stephen how that one became possible, but he sent all the books out, and I have got. I am the Moonwalk Walks Australia representative, so I've got my copy of Moonwalk Walks, and I will be a part of what we have to do in that initiative is we have to get photographs of us with the book in iconic locations of the city we live in. So I haven't had time yet, but I will be going out and getting some photographs of myself at South Bank and Brisbane CBD and probably the Parklands, and I'll put them up online. And then once we've done that, we've got to like write a little note sort of thing in the book, and we have to leave it somewhere in the city for somebody else to pick up and read. And it's got this little thing in the cover where you sign it, you know, you put your name and the date, and you can even send an email back into Stephen to say where you found the book or what you thought about it. And the idea is that this book, Moonwalk, is going to walk all around the place, and who knows how far it's going to go, but Stephen's going to be able to track it over time where it ends up. So I'm going to start
Hopefully.
that for our Australian version.
That's so cool. I love this. I hope that people do the right thing and they pick up the book when it's out and they do what needs to be done so that it can be going all around the countries.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of where the best place to leave it is. I don't want to leave it outdoors because the weather might wreck it and someone might just put it in the bin. You'd hope not, but I want to sort of leave it maybe in a coffee shop or maybe a Starbucks or I don't know. Maybe they would just hand that to the counter and say, "Oh, it's lost property." I'm trying to think of the
maybe
place where it's got the best chance to then go on to someone else.
Maybe university.
Yeah, it's got a sticker on the front that says like "pick me up" or something, so it's pretty obvious that it's not been left there by accident. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just a hot tip: don't leave it on an aeroplane because everything goes to lost property, folks.
Yeah.
So for you and the other correspondents, just don't leave it on an airplane or public transport because they won't go anywhere.
Well, maybe I'll give it to you, and I don't know. Maybe it can travel over the country. Because that'd be cool to see how much distance it could travel. I don't know. We'll see.
Hi again, guys, and thank you for inviting me to contribute to another great episode of the MJCast. I know how long this kind of stuff takes, and many of us are juggling it all with normal life, and it gets even crazier around the latter part of August. So it's great that you are getting some really informative episodes out there. I have just come back from various family breaks and can't wait to get stuck in again. I'm just a fan like you guys, and every episode I listen to I find I'm learning even more about Michael, even after 30 years of being a fan, which is just great. So I have some updates for you. The first is the Diamond Celebration charity fundraiser, which is really the first time the estate has made more of an effort to cover a huge part of Michael's life, and that is charity. To finally see the 20% from Michael's will being used after almost 10 years is a good start. The estate decided to help the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation as part of the 60th Diamond celebrations in Las Vegas. I'm not sure how much this actually helped the foundation, but I'm sure it helped raise awareness. But as of writing this, their fundraising page for it is still sitting on almost $1,500, which is 3% of their target of $50,000 for fundraising. There is probably still time to contribute though, so if you still wanted to give, you can do so over on their website. To commemorate, honour and continue his humanitarian legacy, Michael's Dream Foundation delivered their dream boxes to Sunrise Children's Hospital in Las Vegas on Michael's birthday, with little help from E. Casanova and Michael's former bodyguard, Mike Garcia. The gifts to the children recovering from illness went down a storm. The foundation is currently raising funds to furnish a children's orphanage in Ranchi, India, with clothes, books and toys. If you'd like to assist them, they are up on Facebook, so check them out. Michael Jackson's legacy has also been very busy. They have been raising a lot of money by fundraisers walking, giving and sponsoring, and recently raised £570 around Michael's birthday, which I know will go a long way for their charity projects. You can also find them up on Facebook. Our Moonwalk Walks tribute project has started, which involved the delivery of 7 books, one to each continent around the world in time for Michael's birthday. I am pleased to say that, while most of them made it, one had to be remade and resent, and another hasn't yet reached its destination. But the good news is that we have a sponsor for none other than Antarctica, and the book will be sent out to our new contact there over the coming weeks. The books are going to be left in various public places for people to pick up and read about Michael, and then, hopefully, logged with photos on Twitter using the hashtag of Moonwalk Walks. In time, we should see a few posts pop up on Twitter where we can follow all of the book's journeys as they travel around the world. As you hopefully know by now, I created the UK-based charity MJFSC and its main tribute, the Michael Jackson Monthly Giving Project, back in 2011. With the MJCast help recently, by inviting me onto their podcast, we have been able to raise even more awareness of our charity and project, and have been gradually getting like-minded fans on board thanks to these episodes being out there. We currently have 51 members and are looking for hundreds more. If you listen to this podcast, the next member could be you. To join the charity project, all you need to do is commit to £1 per month. That's it. We have made our donation form as simple to use as possible, and you only have to do it once. You can become an active member by voting for beneficiaries in our easy-to-use Facebook group polls, or can just join us and let other members decide where your £1 goes each month. We will email you a monthly update so you're always kept in the loop. You get a personalised certificate that you can print and can cancel your donations at any time. When you give £1 each month, that £1 after PayPal fees goes directly to the beneficiary with the most votes at the end of each month as a group. Nothing goes to myself, our members or any other expenses, so we fund all of that ourselves. We have also recently arranged an alternative PayPal transaction fee rate of 5% plus 5p, which now makes every one of your £1 go even further as a tribute to Michael. At the time of recording this, we have member number slots of 22 and 50 available, so if you're amongst the next 2 to join us, you will fall into our very important first 50 member milestone. You may be thinking to yourself that £1 won't make a difference, but it really does. In fact, some members can afford to give more than that £1, which is fine of course, but it means that even with 50 monthly members, we are able to consistently raise over £200 each month for different beneficiaries. This is every month. Now think of this and now imagine us having 500 members. We could be making a huge change as Michael Jackson fans wanting to pay it forward from our love for Michael and all he has given us in his lifetime. And I know the MJCast shows the same sentiments when I say that deep down. I think a lot of us really do understand the other side of Michael, wanting to give back to the world. I see it as a way MJ fans can help continue where Michael left off, and the idea of it just being £1 to start is so that fans are in a better position to jump on board. In the birthday month of August 2018 just gone, we raised £215 for the Missing Kids charity in our Lost Children fundraiser. We're now raising money throughout September for 3 shortlisted beneficiaries on our global event fundraiser from Myanmar refugees and the charity Help Refugees. So if you join us this month, this is where your money will be going at the end of September in tribute to Michael as Michael Jackson fans. I spend a lot of time refining, running and shortlisting beneficiaries for the project and can't really see myself doing anything else as important as providing these tools to MJ fans to give back to the world like Michael often did. I do hope you will join myself and the MJCast one day and consider becoming a £1 monthly member. We are a friendly bunch of people and I'm always around to answer any members' concerns or any other feedback they may have about the project. Our members often rave at how much fun and how easy it is to take part, and you'll probably find that you are already friends with some members online anyway, so when you discover they are members too, just ask them all about it. But that is enough of me rambling. It really does take seconds to join us, so I hope one day you will be in a position to do so at www.mjffc.org. If anyone needs to contact me, you can often see me floating around on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and if you see me at any MJ events in the future, please do grab me and say hi. I don't bite that hard, and I love meeting new MJ fans. Thank you for listening. More updates soon, and don't forget to keep making that change.
Well,
Cool.
That's it for follow-up stuff.
Yep, we got some news to cover now, don't we? We've had a
Yes, we do.
merchandise line of Michael Jackson fashion, or inspired inspired fashion, I should say, has come out by Culture Kings in Australia. And Cotton On as well. Now, I had a little bit of a different take, I think, to you, Q, when this sort of came out. I saw the trailer for the Culture King stuff happen a few weeks ago, and I got to say, when I saw those T-shirt designs on day one when they unveiled them, I thought they were kind of cool. I liked the simplicity of them. None of them really made me go, "Oh, that's a gross design" or bad. But, you know, I think you had a bit of a different take, especially around the pricing.
Okay, so I loved the designs.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were really cool. Generally, very cool designs and, you know, something different. And they were not just a shitty iron-on square transfer like they did for Dangerous Celebration Online. These actually were really cool. They've actually had 2 releases with Culture Kings. They did another one this week for the sort of next range. The designs were cool. The prices were not. They were so overpriced. I'm like, no, not going to happen.
How much was it for one T-shirt?
Let me see. Let me see if I can. You talk a little bit about it.
All right. Well, I mean,
More.
The thing is, like, I wasn't sort of shocked by the price because I do disagree with the price, and I think it's bad that they would charge that much money for a T-shirt. But I wasn't that surprised because I'm pretty certain Culture Kings are known for charging a ridiculous amount for T-shirt.
$50.
designs.
$50.
Yeah.
$49.95. Oh my God. And I think nearly all of them are sold out. Here it says there's only 3 left of this one, 3 left of this one, 1 left of this one. $50 for a T-shirt? Are you kidding me? I don't even think they charge that at a concert, do they?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Anymore,
but if you are
crazy.
at a concert, you're sort of paying for the whole experience of it as well. And $50 in a shop for a T-shirt? No, that is a bit rich. Like, why would they charge that much? That is so stupid. Okay,
Yeah.
and just to continue this Q rant on, okay, Cotton On, another brand in Australia, released a black denim jacket with a huge Dangerous album cover patch on the back, and it was stunning. They only made 250 of these, and the price was super reasonable at $79.95, so like $80 for a jacket, which I can justify that. That is justified. That's only $30 more than a shitty T-shirt. So that is a good price, I think. They sold out in like 2 hours. So by the time someone had messaged me about it on WhatsApp, which would have literally been like that night of its release, by the time the next day, I was like, oh my God, amazing. They had already sold out.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? 250? As if there's not a market for this. They could have sold thousands, especially for such a reasonable price point. So I was pissed off and I'm still annoyed. So feel free to message Cotton On Facebook and they're on Instagram as well. And I know that some people have got a reply saying, oh, maybe you should join up to our email list and then you will know when stuff like this happens. Fuck off. No. I'm not going to subscribe to every clothing shop in the world just in the hope that they release Michael Jackson line of stuff and then only release 250 of it. No, not impressed. And I would be rocking that jacket. That would be my uniform for life. I'd be buried in that thing. It was really nice.
So it wasn't like 200. We're going to make 250 because it's a limited edition, and this is the pre-order date, and it wasn't like that, was it? It was just like it's on sale. We didn't tell anyone about it, and we're only manufacturing 250. That's ridiculous.
Yep. And limited edition things piss me off a bit as well. I get it if it's a collectible, sort of, like that's the whole point of a collectible. Like here's a Michael Jackson plaque. There's only like 1,000 of these manufactured and it's a special limited art piece and stuff like that. This is just a jacket. So calm down, because you should want people to buy as many of these as possible. 250, whatever. Oh, so frustrating.
It's been a while since a good Q rant. I needed that.
There you go. Better out than in.
All right, something a little bit more positive. A friend of the show, Anthony King, has released I called it online, his first book on Michael Jackson. But he told me ages ago he'd actually released another book that, I think it was quite a while ago, many, many years ago. And I don't know if it was, huge and everything like that. But this one is really his first real analytical style book on Michael Jackson, and it's called Michael Jackson and Classical Music. It's already out. You can grab it in a bunch of places like Amazon. And this book is quite unique because I guess I'm wrong when I say it's analytical. It's more like an exploration of all of the different classical pieces of music that Michael chose to include in his own works. So in some cases, there's obvious ones there where Michael included at the start of Will You Be There, a classical piece of music in that song. But he also included a lot of classical music to start his live shows, often different ones for every, concert and a tour. And
promos.
Yes, absolutely.
Promo
the Brace
videos,
Yourself video.
Yeah, Brace Yourself and
with
stuff
Kamina
like that.
Burana. And yeah, there are a lot of instances. So if you want to know the history of all of these classical pieces and composers that Michael was so deeply inspired by, and we know that Michael loved classical music. That's what played at Neverland a lot of the time. If you want to learn about what he was inspired by as a great timeless musician himself, then pick up this book, Michael Jackson and Classical Music, by a friend of the show, Anthony King.
It is detailed.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying, detailed.
It's encyclopedic.
So detailed. Encyclopedic. Perfect description. And yeah, we hope to, and there's a lot more coming from Anthony King, isn't there? This is like the first of a million books that he's writing and putting out.
We've actually got his next, I won't reveal what it's about, but we've got a portion of his next book sitting in our inbox ready to peruse, Q. So there is another one coming soon.
I need some time to sit and read a book.
Yeah.
I am so busy with work. Like, oh my God, I just want to read some books. I think I'm exhausted. Work has been crazy. Staying on the track of books. I'm so proud that we get to talk about so many Michael Jackson book releases.
Isn't it great?
Because there was a long time and there was just crickets. There was nothing except, just nothing. Anyway, French fans, Richard Lecocq and Francois Allard, have a book that we did speak about a while ago. It's out on October 23rd. Michael Jackson, All the Songs, the story behind every track. Can't wait. This looks good. And this is actually, did we see this is going to be in music stores in Australia, Jamon? At Sanity, I think.
I have never seen another Michael Jackson book ever get this level of promotion. Not even the estate-backed ones like Vogels and Knoppers. This book is on online advertising everywhere. I go to Facebook. There's ads on the side for this book.
That's great.
It's everywhere that I'm seeing.
We need to find out how they did that, because that is a huge coup for a Michael Jackson book, and a book that is actually worthy of fans purchasing it. Because this, like, go and have a look on Amazon even. Like, they've got some screen caps of pages. This looks like a dream book for if you want to know about all, not just some, not just an album's worth, but all of Michael's songs.
Yeah. Yeah, and we know that Richard is, I don't know too much about Francois. I'm looking forward to chatting to him one day, but I know Richard, and I can tell you he's a great guy. His heart's in the right place as an MJ fan. He's all about Michael's legacy, and he deserves every bit of success that they have with this book. So I can't wait to get my hands on it as well.
Yeah, I had friends messaging me. They had seen an ad on Facebook or on Sanity or whatever, or had got an email. I'm not sure, but they like took a screen cap and go, Q, have you got this book? I'm like, oh, no, we haven't. It's not out yet, but I can't wait. And I think we're going to try and talk to the guys that made it. So that's pretty cool when friends are even reaching out.
I think there's really a place for this book. Like when you go to a bookstore and you look in the music section, of course there's the biographies and things like that, but there's also those books like, the top, 300 Beatles songs or whatever, kind of like what Andy does with his 101 books. There's a place for these. These are great coffee table books that people can just pick up and go, oh yeah, I do like that song, given to me or whatever, and I want to learn a bit more about that. So I'm assuming that the book is because it's about every song, I'm assuming it's like a glossary. I don't know if it's going to be chronological, or I'm hoping it's by letter, because Michael has just so many songs that you could literally fill a whole book with, every song by letter. So I hope it's like that. I think it'll be good. Good to pick up and read here and there, without being committed to reading it all start to finish. We should even get a copy to have when we're recording the show. If a song comes up, we can flip it open and bam. There's another book like that, isn't there? Chris Cadman, I think his Maestro book is organized like that, A to Z.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. It's like an encyclopedia that you pick it up and you learn about the details of the tracks. He was the first that did that.
Yeah. The granddaddy of MJ authors.
All right, what next? Should we just skip to the Vincent Paterson one as well? Keep all the book stuff together?
Yeah, well, Vincent there's two more.
Yeah, two?
Mm-hmm. We got a controversial one too.
Oh, okay. You do... I'll do the Vincent one. Vincent Paterson's, oh my God, still one of my absolute favourite episodes and guests. Just such an incredible storyteller, the detail and the passion when we had Vincent Paterson on the show talking about the filming of the black or white film clip and then the MTV 10 performance. Oh, my God, just love that episode. Such a great guy. Super busy, so we haven't approached him about coming back yet, but we certainly will. But he has in France his autobiography. It's now available in French, and the English version is coming soon.
What's the book called?
How do you know that?
Q? What's the French title?
Oh, I was going to save that for you.
Okay. I'm not even going to attempt it, but I think the English translation must be Icons and Instincts, I'm guessing.
Oh, I love that title. That sounds amazing, actually. Yes.
Yeah, it should be good. I don't know the reason that it came out in France first. Maybe he was just able to secure a publisher there a little bit more easily. But I'm very jealous of all the French MJ fans who now get to read that. But I've heard good things. How could it not be good? It's Vincent.
How could it not be good? Absolutely. Yeah. So we've got a link for the French release of the book in our show notes.
Yeah.
Everything we talk about is linked in our show notes. Every song that we play is linked in the show notes. So if you're listening somewhere and you go, what is this awesome mix, or what is this incredible arrangement, or who is singing this amazing tribute, go to the show notes and you can click on it and get it from the place we got it, which is generally YouTube or SoundCloud. the link to all of these books and including this Vincent Paterson Icons and Instincts book will be in the show notes. But that, I cannot wait for the English translation. That will be, bam, straight on my list of book purchases for sure.
For sure.
Tick. All right. And you had another thing.
Yes, there is another project coming out connected to a book. After Michael passed away, one of his quote-unquote friends, Frank Cascio, wrote a book called My Friend Michael. And it's taken a little while, but we know that Frank has been courting a range of production companies to put this out as some kind of film or TV show. But it does appear, and it's only very early days, but it does appear that that book, My Friend Michael, will be moving ahead as a mini-series in the future, whether it's Netflix or on television or whatever. So brace yourselves, guys. We do have a Casio project now turning into a mini-series, which is a bit concerning because, I mean, the book, oh boy, it's really hard to talk about this project because taking away all the controversy and all the lies, if you take all that away and you just look at My Friend Michael as a book itself, as a piece of, writing, literature, whatever, I have read it. And I will say, this will be controversial, but I will say that it's actually really well written. Like the way that it's written puts you in the moment. If the moments are true, I don't know, but it puts you in the moment and it's actually really, 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 really well written. So
whether it's fiction or not,
yeah,
because Lord knows they are not trustworthy.
I mean,
They've
there's bits
proven
in
that.
there. There's bits in there where he's talking about smoking weed with Michael, and I don't know. Like, I'm not even going to make a judgment on whether it's true or not. I mean, he talks in there about his brother recording songs with Michael. So, I mean, even just that itself, like, because that's in there, it throws everything else into, a light where we don't know if we can trust it. The other problem I have is Q, and I don't know, I think we might have a slight a different opinion on this, but I'm not the biggest fan of seeing Michael portrayed by other actors. I'm just not. So I'm not even looking forward to this in general because I don't like seeing impersonators or actors play Michael. So yeah, it's going ahead.
Well,
I probably won't watch it or care.
It's not necessary, that's for sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's not necessary. I think also we need to address, I think also maybe we need to just to put into perspective the type of people this family is what they try and sell of Michael's. So, I think a few more details about that than me, but I think it says a lot about the character of person, not only with their obvious history of the Casio tracks that is going to get addressed later in the show. Big update there, oh my Lord. But the type of person that will go, well, Michael gave us this stuff, let's sell it all. Let's go to how many auction houses can we go to sell this stuff. I think that says a lot about people, and you should definitely consider that. And yeah, that's all I'll say.
They're not just selling like, Michael left a jacket here when he stayed with us. We're selling this iconic jacket. It's not that. If you go to like gottahaverockandroll.com, which I think is an auction house that Frank uses, they sell things like personal medical things, like x-rays of Michael's body if you went to the doctor one day, and just really weird. He tried to auction off the original Casio track recordings, the fake songs. He tried to auction them off, all the leaked ones, for like some ridiculous amount of money. These guys are just
which he'd
shysters.
already sold. He'd already sold them to Sony.
Well, his
how
brother
can he
did,
sell it
yeah.
again?
Yeah.
Well,
they
yeah.
did, yeah. It's you can't trust him at all, and this movie, who knows how much of it is going to be true, and I'm not looking forward to it. Anyway.
That was the remixed by Nick Redux of State of Shock. I think that's his second version of State of Shock. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know, but if
there was another State of Shock mix that we played, I'm sure it was Nick. He does so many tracks. That was actually the State of Shock vinyl was my first ever Michael Jackson vinyl. I got
Really?
it at a garage sale. Yeah, I got it at a garage sale when I was young, like a teenager. So I was a new fan, and I think it's the mini version, not like a 12-inch. It's like the small size vinyl.
Oh, 7-inch or whatever they are, yeah.
Yes. All right. Netflix. News on Netflix. They have got a Quincy Jones documentary for, that's not far away, September 1 release. September 21. That's pretty soon. That's pretty cool. So this is a career-spanning documentary on the huge influence across music, Quincy Jones. I saw the trailer this morning. No Michael featured.
That's
interesting. Weird. Maybe their relationship, because they had that, they weren't paying him royalties or whatever. Maybe it was quite strained. I'm not sure, but not featured. But his career spans so much and for so long that they wouldn't have been able to fit other things in as well. So it wasn't the only thing that wasn't featured. But interesting, because I think people need to remember that Quincy Jones's career, only a little bit of it is related to Michael. Just a little. His career is so huge. The same as Michael's career. Only a little bit of it is related to Quincy Jones. So, but it looks interesting. And I think there'll be some Michael stuff explored in this documentary for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And we know that there will be for a fact, because there was either images or footage in the last couple of weeks have come out of Michael Jackson luminaries in the studio working with Quincy Jones in the music studio. So there's Greg Villengaines and friend of the show, Jonathan Sugarfoot Moffat. They've been in the studio recording, or should I say re-recording, Michael Jackson music for the documentary. So I'm guessing what's going on here is that because of the lawsuit, because of the bad blood between Quincy and Sony and the estate, that Quincy's not allowed to or won't use some music in the documentary. I don't know, because maybe he feels, look, if I put that in there, I'm not going to get paid anyway, or I don't know the reason. So he's gone into the studio with these guys and re-recorded or recorded some Michael Jackson songs together, I guess, to use in the documentary. So, or maybe they were just shooting video in there. I'm not sure. We'll see when it comes out. But it definitely will feature some kind of Michael stuff, and I'm curious to see what it's going to be. Yeah.
Well, we know they filmed it. Whether it got into the finished product, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. Absolutely. But, I mean, Quincy was in the news last year for some saying some things about Michael or whatever. I think it's time that, I see on Twitter all the time now, it is absolutely blown my mind how, yes, he did say some things that were off base. Absolutely. He apologized for saying those things publicly, but
he didn't really say sorry. He just said, I regret saying them.
Yeah, okay. Maybe apology is a bit, stronger word there. But I don't know. The level of hate this guy seems to get still is, I don't know, a little bit out of kilter to the work. I guess what I'm trying to say is I prefer to remember him and think of him as the great collaborator of Michael that he was in the 80s and the late 70s. So that's what I focus on.
Some Michael fans, they just love to make a villain out of anyone, so they will paint that person with the tar brush for life.
Yeah.
All right, anyway. Good news. I have a good news story.
Yeah.
Jacksonville students are to benefit from a 1984 donation from Michael Jackson for scholarships. I love this story. I don't know if this would have been like Victory Tour, I'm guessing. No,
yeah, definitely.
What?
Yeah,
1984 Victory Tour. And when he was in Jacksonville, he donated $100,000 for scholarships. It's been sitting somewhere, gathering interest. Not as much as I would have expected, actually.
Yeah, it mustn't have been in a high-interest earning account.
No way. But it's about $174,000 now.
Yeah,
that they can use towards students to further their education in music-related education.
Yeah.
Love this. Love, 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 love.
Very cool. This is an awesome example of Michael's legacy still today. Michael's actual actions in his career positively influencing youth today. Direct, positive action. It's very cool.
If we hear more about this story, about when the city plans to start handing out scholarship dollars, we'll update you. But the city says it can use an anticipated $5,500 of projected interest in the fiscal year for scholarships, which the Kids Hope Alliance will administer.
Very cool.
I was very excited to come across that story. Yep. Always love a good news story.
Yeah. Very positive,
Sweet.
Heartwarming.
When did you want to do Jannika's segment?
Well, there has been some Jackson stuff happening, so why don't we listen to Jannika now?
Hey there, this is Jannika from Jackson Source. I wanted to talk to you about Treaty's recent gig in Paris. I traveled over there and I was fortunate to meet the guys and attend the sound check and attend the meet and greet. They met a lot of fans there, about 75, 80, and they took a lot of time to talk to their fans and interact and take photos, and they also paid for it, so they deserve that, obviously. But that was a good thing, and a lot of people showed up. But even better, of course, was the show. I mean, the guys only performed like once a year over the past few years, and this was the second or the third time with a live band in recent years. And they hadn't performed with a live band in 2 years, so everybody was, I think, very excited to see what was going on and to see what set list they came up with. But the guys, they just killed it. They nailed it. The roof went off. It was a small theater in Paris, about 1,400 people. It was sold out, and fans were screaming from the first until the last minute. The crowd was loud, super supportive, I think even overwhelming the guys. It was like all of us were 16 or 17 again. I think vibe-wise, energy-wise, and set list-wise, this was a type of show that all of their fans have been longing for to see and experience for so long, for so long, and even the guys to feel all that love in such an overwhelming way again. It was just great. Even with Frances was in the audience, so was Lexi and her girlfriend. Lexi is TJ's stepdaughter. Brianna was there with Bryce and Adrian, so it was good for the T's to have their family there. It was actually the first time for Bryce and Adrian to see what Daddy does, so it was amazing. I think you can tell from my voice that the excitement, the level of excitement is just high. But what I especially liked was not only for them to perform their hits, but I think Terrell, he made some really cool mixes for the beginning of the show. So it was like Gotta Be You versus I think Jam, and then Sex Appeal versus Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. And Party Tonight versus Give Me All Your Lovin', which is actually a 3-3 track. But it sounded incredible. It was, especially the first 10-15 minutes, was really up-tempo, really strong opening of the show, and everybody went just nuts. And then obviously, I think there may be clips online. I think even I posted when the guys did Why. Terrell didn't even have to sing at the ending of the song. The crowd totally took over, and the guys were just standing there for maybe 2 or 3 minutes like, wow, is this really happening? And the crowd was loud. And obviously for Anything and I Need You, those have always been special to the fans. And it sounded incredible. The boys did incredible. And in my opinion, they're especially when you look at other artists performing Jackson songs, I personally am not a fan of that. I don't favor that, but to see 3T doing songs like Human Nature or Don't Stop Till You Get Enough or Shake Your Body, it's just, that's totally okay to me. And I really enjoy seeing them perform those songs, because that to me is keeping the Jacksons' legacy alive. They're totally entitled to do this, and they do it well. So that was a great gig in Paris. I think everybody who was there enjoyed it. And the good news for European fans is that the guys are coming back in December for 4 more shows with the live band. The first shows announced are Paris, Brussels, Belgium, and then 2 more shows in France, in Marseille and Bordeaux. So yeah, if you happen to be around or in Europe, I would definitely recommend that you go and see 3T while you can. And I hope for other fans in other parts of the world that the success will continue on, so they can tour in other places too. I also wanted to talk about the music of 3T magazine. That is a publication I did a couple of years ago, and I've been publishing updated versions of it, and now I gave 3T copies of the latest version, which includes their recent releases of Fire and Chapter 3 in France, as well as Terrell's single No Limit and starting all over, or Started All Over Again, I think it's titled. But that's 104 pages, which covers all the releases of 3T over all the years, like all the catalog numbers and countries and whatever they did release-wise, like official releases, is in that book. Its format is A4. It includes loads of pictures and again, all the releases of 3T of over more than 25 years. I think if you look at jacksonsource.com and then in between Jackson and Source, there's I don't even know the word. It's a bracket or a space or something. Just go to the website and you'll find the link to purchase your copy. It's a printing on demand publication, and there's no commercial gain and there's no profits being made. It's just for fans. If you like to have it, you can. So check that out if you really like 3T. Oh, and one memorable show of the Brothers of the Jacksons this summer, I think, is the show they did in California on August 24th. The brothers decided to do a tribute to Joe and Catherine, basically, as well. Catherine was in the audience, and so was Jafar, Your Majesty, Jermaine Jr., Autumn, Reby, and even Jermaine Jr.'s son Sultan and his partner Asa. So it was the first time for baby Sultan to see his grandfather and great granduncles perform. So I think that's cool. But special about the show was the brothers performing a tribute, and Jermaine addressed Catherine in the audience and said a few words to her of comfort and support, and they decided to do the song You Are Not Alone. And during the song there was a video on the screen that showed all kind of pictures of Joe with family members over all the years to get the message across that you are not alone. So I think that was beautiful for the brothers to do that, and Catherine really enjoyed it and said it was beautiful. So I think that was a remarkable show of the brothers for this summer.
There we go. That's our Jackson family correspondent, Yannicka of Jackson Source. It was so good to hear about 3T tearing it up again in France at their recent shows. And now we are going to talk about a new article in Vogue magazine about Michael Jackson as a fashion icon. Q, you found this article, didn't you?
Oh my God, it's so good. Such a good article, marking what would have been Michael Jackson's 60th birthday back on August 29. Vogue in Britain, the fashion critic and a lifelong superfan Anders Christian Madsen speaks to Michael's final stylist, really, Rushka Bergman, and speaks to her and reflects on Michael as an otherworldly style icon, which he certainly was. It's a great article. So they interview Rushka. They talk also using quotes from interviews and books, like people like the Snake Michael Bush and other people that worked with Michael, styling him over the years, and gave examples of other fashion stylists that have worked with Michael. Like, I didn't know that for the Give In To Me film clip, which I love so much because I love that song, that he worked with a stylist for that look, because it's such sort of a casual
dressed down.
Yeah, but like it's a rock and roll thing. So he worked with Venetia Scott. That's who styled him for that video. And then for the Scream video, he was styled by David Bradshaw.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool little article. Great insight into some of Michael's inspirations for his style and his fashion. Gives some amazing quotes from Michael in the past, and some really terrific insight into his evolving look. Like, I know that fans out there, some of them really stand for the mature age Mike, and he had a very different sort of style then compared to back in the 80s when he was purely only seen in like the military jackets and things like that. So it's really cool to hear from Miss Bergman, you know, talk and how she viewed him. Like, I have a quote here. Michael was a perfectionist. He knew exactly what he liked and didn't like, Bergman tells me. Since he was the king of pop, he needed the best people in the world working for him, and he was very specific as to whom. He was always the conductor. At the same time, he was a great father and a true humanitarian. His heart was bigger than the planet, even bigger than the galaxy. His gentle and spiritual nature made him one of those greatest people ever to walk the earth. I love that.
Yeah, she's great. I really enjoyed her photographs as well in this piece. There's some definitely some photos I'd never seen before. The one of her standing with Michael where he's wearing a custom John Galliano waistcoat. That is a
I hadn't
shot.
seen that. Yeah, that's something I had never seen.
I think that really the last few years of Michael's life are very underrated in terms of his fashion choices, with those great Balmain sort of jackets that he was wearing at that time. And the thing I like about this article is it puts a lot of his choices into one sort of narrative around like what he used to wear, in the 80s and 90s, and then what he was really getting into. And it's a great read. I recommend it.
Before I move on, just got to say I do not love that pagoda-shouldered Balmain jacket at all.
The one that's got the two lapels.
Big points.
Yeah.
The huge points up past his... Oh, my God. Hate that. It makes him not look well. Well, he wasn't super well at that point anyway, but, yeah, I just think the shoulder things, no, not a great look. I like the other one, the gold Givenchy jacket by Riccardo Tisci, but the black and silver Balmain one by Christopher DeCarnan, no, don't love it.
To each their own. All good.
Yep.
So let's move ahead in the news. That was a great article, Q. Thanks for putting that in there.
You're welcome.
That's okay. We've had some big developments in the past few weeks around the Cascio case, haven't we? So I guess a good starting point with it would be the recent developments in Vera Serova's court case that she's brought against Angelicson and Sony. But who better than to sum up what's gone on there than our legal correspondent, award-winning journalist Charlie Thompson. Let's listen to what Charlie has to say about those updates.
A fan who filed a class action lawsuit over the inclusion of 3 allegedly fake songs on a posthumous Michael Jackson album has indicated she's taking her case to the Supreme Court. Vera Serova and her many supporters were dealt a crushing blow last month when the Court of Appeal removed Sony and the Michael Jackson estate as defendants in her lawsuit. The court issued a bizarre ruling that companies were legally entitled to misrepresent fake artworks as genuine as long as there was an ongoing debate about the legitimacy of those artworks. Fan Vera Serova has fought a years-long legal battle over the inclusion of 3 songs known as the Casio tracks on the 2010 album Michael. The songs, Breaking News, Monster, and Keep Your Head Up, were included on the album even though a host of Michael Jackson's relatives, friends, and musical collaborators, including one of the 2 executors of his estate, believed they were fake. In 2014, Serova filed a lawsuit against Sony, estate executor John Branca, and the estate's company MJJ Productions, as well as the producers of the tracks, Eddie Cascio, James Port, and their company Angelicson Productions. Since then, the defendants have filed motion after motion, sending the case down numerous legal cul-de-sacs in an effort to stop it from coming to trial. In 2016, Sony and the Jackson estate claimed Serova's lawsuit was a slap case, or a strategic lawsuit against public participation. In other words, they claimed that there had been an ongoing public debate about whether or not the songs were real, meaning that the company's assertions that the songs were real were part of a public interest debate, and therefore were protected by the American Constitution's right to freedom of speech. Sarova countered that the claims actually amounted to false advertising, meaning the legal argument hinged on whether or not the statements in question, namely a claim on the album cover that Jackson sang the songs and a similar claim in a video advert promoting the album, amounted to commercial speech. Sarova said they did, the corporations said they didn't. The corporations said they were so confident in their argument that the claims did not amount to commercial speech and were therefore not legally actionable that they were prepared to stipulate that the songs were fake. As far as they were concerned, whether the songs were real or fake was an irrelevance. As their lawyer Zia Modaba puts it in court in December 2016, quote, "If we ripped people off and it's a non-commercial speech, they lose under the statutes. That is just the law." His co-counsel Andrew Demko clarified at the same hearing, "We are submitting now it may have turned out not to be Michael Jackson, but there is no stipulation that at the time that we made the statements, we knew." After that December 2016 hearing, the presiding judge, Ann Jones, ruled in Vera Sarova's favor. The statements clearly were commercial speech. With that issue settled, she said the case could now proceed to trial. But Sony and the estate decided to fight and took their case over the slap issue to the Court of Appeal, where, on August 21st this year, both sides' lawyers appeared to argue their case before a panel of 3 judges. 7 days later, the judges handed down their decision, overturning Judge Ann Jones's ruling and finding that Sony and the estate were, in fact, legally entitled to release fake songs under Michael Jackson's name. A week later, journalist and fan Damien Shields obtained and published the results of a pioneering investigation Sarova had commissioned from an FBI forensic audiologist. Dr. George Papkun's investigation found that the vocalist on the Casio tracks sang in the wrong accent and dialect. His falsetto did not match Michael Jackson's, and he even pronounced Jackson's own name incorrectly. Papkun's expert opinion was that Jackson was not the vocalist, and the true singer was likely from somewhere nearer Brooklyn, New York. On September 13th, Vera Sarova announced on Facebook she had filed for permission to have her case reheard by the Court of Appeal, but she had been refused. She told her supporters, "Wish me luck at the Supreme Court."
All right, there we go. That was good hearing from Charlie, and also, I guess, very disappointing, isn't it, Q, when that news broke on the day that the appeal had been concluded and the judge had ruled, or the judges or whoever made the decisions ruled in Sony's favor. How did you feel that morning?
That was Michael's birthday when we got that news. So that was shit. That was the worst way to start the day, other than me being in a hotel, not able to do what I wanted for Michael's birthday and not really being with my friends and stuff. Yeah, that was a shit way to start the day, but I made the conscious decision not to let it ruin my day. Thankfully, I didn't really have time to be on social media anyway, which was probably a good thing. But yeah, not a great start to the day, and just, oh my God, infuriating, just so infuriating. But the truth will come out. The truth will come out, and I think that people will still judge Sony. The court might not, but the people sure still will, and I think that's valid.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know where it will go from here. I mean, the thing is that there is a chance now for Vera Sarova to appeal that decision, and we'll see what goes on there. Whether her lawyers will continue to work with her now that Sony's not on the scene might be another thing. I'm not sure. But I guess the people to look out for to keep up to date with this news would, of course, be our legal correspondent, Charlie Thompson. And then how could we forget as well, friend of the show, Damien Shields, who is now funneling his years of research on this topic into a podcast. We've already had the trailer for Faking Michael come out. He's made the decision to put a lot of this research into a podcast for everybody to enjoy for free in an audio format. So keep an eye on that, because that's where we're going to find out a lot of these big discoveries that took place that ended up as evidence in Vera's case. Vera's case isn't over. Angelicson's still on the scene as a defendant. So I'm a bit curious how that's going to go, with Damien revealing a lot of this sort of evidence in his podcast prior to or during the court case, if it still happens, but we'll see.
Did you want to play the little trailer? Because this is not like our podcast. This is not a discussion podcast. It's not like the Janet Today podcast, who we're going to be hearing from later. And trust me, you're going to love it. It's such a great discussion. But this is like a crime documentary podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's a lot of great crime podcasts out there, that a few of them that I listen to. I listened to one called Case File, which is awesome. It's got original scoring underneath a narrator discussing investigative findings. So very much like that, except even more complex, because Damien's going to be drawing on lots of source material from the time, original interviews, and then his own narration. I've heard the first episode. It is fantastic. But yes, this is the trailer. Let's have a listen, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Also making news is the controversy surrounding the release of a new Michael Jackson album titled Michael. Is the pop icon singing on every track?
Katherine Jackson and some of Michael Jackson's children listened to that album recently and did not believe the voice on the tracks belonged to the King of Pop.
Producer Eddie Cascio says Michael recorded some of the songs on the new album in Cassio's home studio. He tells Oprah the vocals on it are Michael's voice.
What can you tell us about that?
I can tell you that it is Michael's voice.
Everybody wanting a piece of Michael Jackson.
That's Michael Jackson.
But diehard fans aren't buying what Cascio has to say.
A lot of controversy about this song, and I don't think it's him. I really don't.
It's a total sham. I mean, it's definitely not Michael Jackson, I guarantee you.
I'm flabbergasted. I never thought they'd actually do something like this. I'm 100% certain that's not MJ's voice.
They can't bullshit me, man. That's not Michael's voice.
His family members believe it. I believe it. I know it. I know it's true. This song is fake.
The record company are saying that it is indeed him.
Sony's Epic Records guarantees the album's authenticity, telling ABC News, "We have complete confidence in the results of our extensive research."
I was asked by the estate if I could come to the studio and I could offer an opinion.
As an audio engineer, I said there are too many audio dead ends for them to be telling the truth.
It sounds like him, but there's no guarantee.
Sony Music and the Jackson estate have stipulated in legal arguments that the songs may not be real after all.
A civil suit filed 4 years ago alleges songs from the 2010 album were sung by an imposter.
But the companies argue they should still be allowed to sell them under Jackson's name, claiming freedom of speech includes the freedom to describe fake art as genuine.
And so you start adding up all those things, and at some point the cat's going to come out of the bag.
Faking Michael, an investigative podcast, coming soon.
Okay, I think that will get you excited. So search for Faking Michael on your podcast app right now. And if that trailer hasn't whet your appetite, I don't know what will. Subscribe, hit subscribe, add that to your Michael Jackson family podcast roster. And hopefully soon we can hear something. I think Damien is about to find out about the world of podcasting and the amount of work that goes into that. It would be like me and you deciding to write a book. We, he's a great author, and this project started off as a book project, and now it's turned into a podcast series. I think it would be like me and you going, let's write a book. Oh my God, how much work is there? He's finding out the amount of work, and that's amazing that he's going to jump into this, and it will be well worth educating and sharing,
for sure,
as well as our show. Don't forget, stay tuned to our show. So well done, Damien. We look forward to the first episode soon.
Yep.
Well, I think it's a great time for a music break. How about a unreleased, amazing new Michael Jackson song, Jamon? Would that blow your mind?
Sure.
Yeah, this song is called Take Me Away, and it is made up of Michael Jackson vocals, and it's really weird. This is not something that you would expect, but I thought I've been holding on to this track for years, Jamon, wanting to play. I think today is the perfect opportunity. It is a song called Take Me Away. It is made up of Michael Jackson vocal snippets from other songs. So this is not a Casio situation where it is actually not someone, it is not Michael Jackson himself. This actually is Michael Jackson singing, but this is not a Michael Jackson song. It is like a Frankensteinian piece. And I've got to say, I really like it. I've loved this song for years. I know it's not a real Michael Jackson song, but it has got something that I really love. So I'll let you tell me if you like it or not after the break. Here we are, Take Me Away, featuring Michael Jackson.
I don't wanna live, don't wanna live in I don't wanna go. I don't wanna go into where you go. No one understands me. You get them mad. I don't know what it's for. I said that I take away. Till the sun is always shining. And the sun is always blue. I wanna live something that's beautiful. I wanna be there with you. And be this great and start to light for me. Forget our work and daily life. Forever me and you. Come on and take me away. My baby. Come on and take me away. Till the sun is always shining. The sun is always blue. I wanna live something that's beautiful. I wanna be there with you. And be this great and start to light for me. Forget our work and daily life. Forever me and
Hi, this is Brian Loren, songwriter-producer for Michael Jackson, and you're listening to Jamon and Q on the MJCast.
All right, that was Take Me Away featuring Michael Jackson.
Your favorite song ever.
That's probably... I would have to say that's the least favorite song we've played on the show. And probably it would be in the running for one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. Sorry, Q. I want to scrape my ears off with sandpaper when that plays.
Pretty sure
Sorry.
you will not be alone sitting on that bench. There will be a big crowd. But I thought, what better song to play after all that Casio drama?
Well, I respect you and I love you, Q, and we'll leave that in the show. But I got to say, that's... boy. I'm concerned about our ratings for this episode.
It won't be winning the music poll. Stay tuned. We got an awesome other song coming up later.
Yes. Okay, moving on. So there's been some news with the estate and Sony and Thriller and all the different official things. Let's talk about those things. So I'm understanding that coming soon, Thriller 3D will be playing in IMAX theaters for a 1-week limited run in the United States. Is that true?
Yes. I do not have time for another Q rant. I am so pissed off, for fuck's sake. Oh, God's sake. Yeah, US only. So far I've heard not happening in Sweden, Australia. We had confirmation of Hoyts, who have the IMAX, mini sort of IMAX cinemas in some locations. Brazil, maybe we heard. Guys, just ask on social media your cinema chains that have the IMAX branded cinemas in them if they will be featuring this. But at this stage, Apparently it's the US only. Great job, people. Great job in the estate. Well done. Again, bloody idiots.
It makes my decision-making process easier because I wasn't, I'm not going to go to it anyway, but I won't get into why, but I'm not going to go. So for me, it's a little bit simpler now. I can't even go. But, looking back at the situation, whether you, support Sony or you don't support Sony, whatever, I think we could all agree that we want them to do as good a job as they can when they do decide to do things for Michael. So for them to only play this to US audiences is ridiculous. This is an iconic movie. It is the centerpiece of Michael's visual artistic legacy, and it should be everywhere. And they, by all accounts, they did a fantastic job at restoring this film. And for it only to be domestically in the US is a little bit gutting. I've seen, the trailer was cool. I watched the trailer. I was a bit sort of confused by a couple of things, and I'm no film expert, so I can't really, say what's, normal or not. But I have noticed a color difference. Like if you look at the, putting aside the quality of it looks phenomenal in terms of the detail. But I was sort of looking at it side by side yesterday with the original filler video on YouTube. And then this version, it seems a little like it's got different color grading. Have you noticed that, Q? Like the actual color looks different?
I only noticed in like a comparison picture, really, that it's just everything is brighter.
Yeah.
But I still want to see it. I still think they should put it out on Blu-ray.
Yes.
And then on digital
Netflix.
Purchase, Netflix, something like seriously.
It'd go crazy on Netflix, because it's only 15 minutes long. So everyone
Well, no, they need
would
to
watch
put it out. They also restored the making of. They need to do it all in a package. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry there's not more news than that. Guys, if you're in the US, if you do choose to go, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Done.
Cool. So then in more official news, the estate sprung back to life and did a thing in Vegas. They called it the Diamond Celebration. So that included a performance from the One people. It included a concert, a full stage concert. Usher performed. It included an official Q&A with John Branca, of the co-executor of the MJ estate.
A loosely used term, Q&A.
Yeah, it wasn't really a Q&A, was it? It was a whatever. Come and listen to me say things that I want to say. So anyway, we had friend of the show Serena went along to the Diamond Celebration in Vegas and has an audio roundup for us now of her experiences. Let's listen to Serena.
Before I get started, let me introduce myself to those who don't know me. I'm Serena Butler. I am a lifelong Michael Jackson fan living here in Las Vegas. Some of you may recognize me from In the Studio with MJ, the Los Angeles edition, where I was checking people in this year. For those unaware, the Michael Jackson Diamond Celebration was an event held at the Mandalay Bay here in Las Vegas, Nevada, in order to celebrate Michael Jackson's 60th birthday. For this year's event, the very special Diamond Celebration in Las Vegas, as quoted by the estate, has decided to honor Michael's well-known desire to help disadvantaged people around the world, especially children, by welcoming the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation to the event. We will then join forces to support the Gaia Elizabeth Taylor Mobile Health Clinic, which brings accessible and free health care to those living in rural Malawi. It was really never made clear to why the estate and the Liz Taylor Foundation teamed up. Attending the event, there were no signs. There was really no clear messaging that there was a charitable event attached to this. Only if you spent I believe it was something about $1,500 to eat dinner with Paris at the Boiler Room. Other than that, the only message that was carried from the Liz Taylor Foundation was given in a speech by Paris and Prince at the end of the night. I'll be the first to admit that I was hesitant before I purchased tickets. I don't enjoy involving myself in any of the estate's activities. I don't really want to give them any money. It was a difficult choice for me to make. Once I saw that the family was going, that I had friends from out of town coming in, I was still even a little hesitant. But then I saw that there was the Q&A with John Branca. So that's when I got in contact with the guys at MJCast, and you may have seen some of the notifications from this. I knew that I had to deliver you guys what he said from his mouth, especially after the ruling that occurred just the day prior. It was Michael's birthday, so I didn't really want to have to be too serious. So I tried my best to enjoy the day's events, which started with the meet and greet at 2 p.m. Unfortunately, it was running behind schedule, and post October 1, which was the shooting that occurred last year with 58 victims, security is still a very touchy subject when walking around the Strip. So once you went in, you had to first show them your ticket, and you were searched. Your bags were searched, probably more thorough than any TSA inspection that you have ever obtained. This was probably a first time that I've actually seen this, even attending concerts on the Strip very frequently. I had to open every pocket of my bag. They asked me what I had in there, and then they let me through. Inside the lobby was as I said, was the meet and greet. At the meet and greet, there was a whole cast of characters. Branca, Michael Bush, the guys from MJ1, some of the more popular dancers from the show. And I noticed Greg Fillinganes. And from a personal side note, my favorite song, I'll admit, of all time growing up was Greg Fillinganes' version of Behind the Mask. And it was an honor to be able to meet the man who created a song that really defined my childhood. Even though Michael wrote it, his version was the first that I ever heard. And, it was truly a very special moment for me that I'll never forget. Even though I enjoyed meeting Greg Fillinganes, he's probably one of the nicest guys on the planet and definitely needs to be on the MJCast. Come on, Greg. Come on. The meet and greet could have used a lot of work. The guests were moving around quite frequently, so it was very hard to gauge who all was at the meet and greet. I only let you know who I could definitively name. They were all just crowded around. You could have just used some tables and some good queuing techniques. But by the time I got in there, it was already time for the Michael Bush meet and greet and the John Branca Q&A. So 3 p.m. rolls around. Of course, I'm going to skip the Michael Bush meet and greet for obvious reasons. We'll keep that out of this discussion. So I march my way up to the RX boiler room, which is upstairs, or around the corner and upstairs from the MJ1 lobby, for the meet and greet. I was surprised to see that there were free drinks. It's a very rare thing to occur in Las Vegas. So, of course, I grabbed a drink because, oh, great, I'm going to have to be sitting through a John Branca Q&A session that we are pretty sure is going to be falsified for the next hour. So many of you now know that I went there with the purpose to see if he would respond to our mass flooding of the question regarding the 3 tracks on the air quote Michael album. Of course, to nobody's surprise, he did not respond to that question, only referencing it in a I would not release controversial material statement towards the end. During the Q&A, I would probably say that there may have been at most 45 people in the room. They checked IDs before we came in, but there was really no issue with anyone recording anything. So I got to the front of the room and I did what I could to get the audio and get it to the guys at MJCast as quick as I could. beyond that, for the Q&A, I have never had any face-to-face interaction with John Branca prior to that. I have my own personal opinions of what he has done. His body language and just the way he responded just felt pompous. It reminded me of some family members that I do not have a great relationship with. I was admittedly turned off. I don't know really how I stayed quiet. I was thankful for my friends who were standing next to me. He's just, in person, it's hard to describe. It's like seeing somebody, he tries to act like he's a savior, but he knows what he's doing. And it just felt wrong being in that same room. After that was probably about a 1 hour break before the red carpet started. The red carpet was situated in front of the sports book, which is across from the MJ1 shop. So there was probably about maybe a 40-foot red carpet that was then surrounded, unfortunately, by curtains. So on either end of the red carpet, people could stand, namely the general public, but you could not get a clear view until they walked off the red carpet. The red carpet gave the fans a chance, though, to see exactly who was attending the celebration, which included, of course, the family, Kenny Ortega, Giuseppe Zanotti, which he did, in fact, show off those shoes that are being auctioned. And I'll admit, in person, they were shinier than a freshly sequined glove. So if anyone wants to start a Kickstarter for me, you know where to find me. Other than that, we probably only had maybe 45 minutes at the red carpet before the 7 o'clock showing of the show. So many of us had to get out of this crowded area between the sports book and the MJ1 shop. That was probably about a good 300 people deep in order to get in line to attend the show. So yes, I did attend MJ1 for what was the third time, but the first time I actually paid myself. Again, I will be honest and say that I personally believe that MJ1 is one of the best things that the estate could have done. It brings a family-friendly entertainment to the Las Vegas Strip, which is not known for family-friendly accessories, introduces Michael to a whole new generation. It doesn't really matter what you truly think of the estate, but the goal in mind was to pass MJ to a new generation, and personally, I think it was well done, minus a few personal touches, but other than that, I give MJ1 my full local seal of approval. All right, then once the show got out, it was off to the after party at the Daylight Club. For those who have been to Mandalay Bay before, the Daylight Club is quite the haul from the MJ1 theater. If you know exactly where the Shark Reef is within Mandalay Bay, that's about where the Daylight Club is. When I actually did get inside, the music was blasting, Michael videos were playing everywhere, and inside the middle of this shallow waiting pool was a DJ booth where Mark Ronson was spinning live. Now, I do get that some people are unhappy with his mix that was released prior to the birthday, but there was something different. There wasn't really a direct mix. Like, it was nothing like what was released. He was doing some live mixing. He added some Janet, some Reby, J5 material, and appropriately, if I may add, he added a little bit of Aretha in order to give a proper tribute to another legend, which was well done. Well done. The only downside about the party is they did say that they would be selling food. I myself am a snacking machine, admittedly, and I did not see any food for sale. Only beer was for sale, and if you tried to get water from the bar, it was actually the same price as beer. But that is typical for Las Vegas, so that's just another thing you just got to put up with when you go out. Hosting the event was MTV's Sway Calloway, who would actually come out and introduce different guests. His presence after the kids' speech was actually quite limited until later on in the night, where our guest performer would arrive. Now, you might be wondering, who in the world would the estate bring to celebrate Michael's 60th birthday? I mean, their track record's not that great. For me, I had maybe a couple of ideas, but then I started to hear little rumors circling through the crowd. Usher's coming. Usher's coming. Usher's coming. I'm like, Usher's gonna be here? Next thing you know, Sway comes out. It's Usher. He gives us a full-fledged 45 to 90-minute performance, all his hits. He even touched on My Way for a 90s kid like myself. Having him do a little bit of My Way, man, it brought me back. I would say that it was overall a properly done show by Usher. He even ended on a dance melody to Michael's music. Then he ended on Wanna Be Startin' Something, in which he sang with his backup. And it was nicely done. I mean, I have no bones to pick with Usher whatsoever for that. I mean, go on, do your thing, because it's completely obvious that Michael influenced him, and he's not trying to be Michael. He is incorporating that influence into his own style, and for that, I am grateful. After Usher was done, it was probably about 1 a.m. I left with a blister on my foot, but I had a very great time seeing all my friends and just celebrating the man that inspired us for especially all my life. As for the entire day, I'd say that the first half of the day from 2 p.m. to about 4 p.m. were just estate charades. Disorganized, just the same old stunts, meet and greets. Just, it could have been done a lot better. But for me, as a lifelong Michael fan, once you got to the red carpet, to the MJ1 party, to MJ1, the whole 5 p.m. afterward was the proper way to celebrate Michael Jackson. If you are not dancing from the MJ1 show, which started at 7 p.m. all the way to 1 a.m., just don't even talk to me, because even this far out, my blisters are still sore, and I have absolutely no regrets about it. For a while now, I've had a chance to reminisce about the party. It really wasn't about showcasing his musical legacy, his world legacy. No, if they did anything right, it's showcase the legacy that he left, that he made this world that much smaller, because without him, there are many of you that I would have never have met, that I would not have the chance today to call my friends. So for that, I am eternally grateful, and if that isn't a legacy, I certainly don't know what is.
So the Q&A process, loosely used term, was they said for ticket holders of this event, they could submit questions, and the questions with the most requests would be answered in the show. If you head to our YouTube channel, we actually have the full audio of loosely termed Q&A with Branka, and yeah, you'll be able to hear about everything that Serena just told you about in a great wrap-up. Thank you, Serena.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So we won't talk too much more about that. I will just jump in and say that it's more disappointing behavior. You know, obviously there's a lot of questions fans want to ask these, you know, this executor about the behavior of the estate, but a lot of those things weren't, you know, asked at all. And hopefully in the future there's, you know, a bit more of an open dialogue where they're willing to listen to problems that we have. But, who knows, don't hold your breath.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, positive stuff. Let's move on. So Janet Jackson is in full swing right now with her career. We have had so much Janet, and I want more. From the past few weeks, we've had new music videos, new songs, new performances, and just a little MJ connection in there, which she doesn't often do, but when she does refer to Michael or reference him in her work, it's usually... you know, there's a lot of meaning behind it, and that's certainly the case with this one. Janet has released a bit of a throwback video referencing Michael's Remember the Time. Now, if I don't know, if we ever get to interview Janet one day and say, Janet, what is your favorite Michael Jackson song? I've got a feeling, I just have this feeling that she would say Remember the Time. Because we have seen her at the club dancing and singing to Remember the Time. I think there was some video come out of that a couple of weeks ago. And
yeah,
now there's
at an after-show party or something.
Yeah.
This was really cute. It was so cute. I loved it. It's just like a really, 2-minute long, not even thing with this YouTube celebrity they'd hit it off together somewhere, and I think he proposed this idea to Janet. She said, yes, let's do it. And they just threw it together really quick. And it's just really funny. So Janet is sort of in the role of where Iman was in the Remember the Time video as the queen judging the performances of talent before her. And it's just really cute and funny. And I loved it. Very, very awesome.
It is not a Janet Jackson Remember the Time cover. Do not go expecting that. It's just a fun little thing.
Calm down, people. Yeah. Calm down. Sit down.
I literally have seen people say this is not as good as Michael's Remember the Time. I'm like,
oh, God's sake. Sit down in the back. Lord.
All right.
If I get in the game, cause you're rising under my body, and just if you can, cause we've got all night. Ooh, when I rise, you get my thigh, gonna let me know what you like, if you like, go bang, 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 down, 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 I'll hold you in my hand, and baby, your smoke and shining feels so good against my red sugar. I want you so bad, like it's taste like a bright girl, baby. Day and night, by me. All I got to say is, if I want your good, the things I do to you, make it go up my name, my soul belongs to you. If I was your woman, the things I do to you, but I'm not, so I can't, and I won't. If I was your good, if I was your good, if I was your good, things I do to you, if I was your good, if I was your good, if I was your good, things I do to you. Ooh, nights I play then, ooh, over you. Ooh, and thought of, ooh, oh, my jaw's hurt.
Oh, that's very funny, Jimmy. Or from side to side, side to side, side, side.
I'm playing bad, excited over you. 100 different ways I thought so.
Jimmy, I can't hear myself.
All I've got to say is,
It's about love, the highs and the lows of love. That's what this album is about.
Is this a new Janet we're hearing?
I guess you could say it's a new Janet for the public, but not for myself. Just something that the public hasn't heard before, but yet still a part of me.
Hi, this is Jonathan Sugarfoot Moffett, drummer for Michael Jackson and the Jacksons, and you're listening to the MJCast.
Alrighty, everyone, it is the main event now. This is our main discussion topic for this episode. And like earlier in the introduction to the show, we have got some guests on the line from the podcast Janet Today, Janet Tomorrow, Janet Forever. We are joined by Courtney and cousin Kam. Ladies, welcome to the MJCast.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having us.
Oh, you're most welcome. So I'm cousin Q, and of course you're joined with Jamon. He's not a cousin yet. He's not a cousin yet. He's still
Why am
working
I
on
not?
it.
What is that? Why am I not a cousin?
Me and Elise have already worked out we're going to be having cocktails and having a catch up, and me and Elise are already cousins. You
Yeah.
Well, fine.
They
I'll
did
be
submit
Grandpa
an
Jamon.
application already, so.
Grandpa Jamon.
That's me. Grandpa.
Jamon the grandpa.
All right.
Oh, funny. Courtney, where are you ladies calling in from? Courtney?
Well, I am calling in from Charlotte, North Carolina. And my cousin is.
Very nice.
And I'm calling from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Moss Point, Mississippi.
Beautiful. Excellent. I've been to, where's Raleigh? Which Carolina
Raleigh
is that in?
Is here in North Carolina. It's about an hour and a half away.
Yeah. I've been there, visited there, caught up with family friends there, and had an incredible steak sandwich. I will always remember that meal. That was so good. It was.
That's awesome.
It was literally, that was 3 years ago, and I still remember that sandwich. It was so
that was a good
yummy.
sandwich.
Yeah.
It really was.
I've actually heard him talk about that sandwich a few times on the show now.
If I can find that place again, I will eat there for sure. Ladies, tell us about your podcast. It is what we know as the first Janet Jackson podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as we know, it's the first podcast.
Yep, we're number one.
Number one.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the family.
Thank you for having us. It's such a pleasure to join these esteemed podcasts dedicated to Jackson family members. And we're just delighted to be among like-minded folks who know what's good.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
What's good?
When did you guys actually kick things off? Because there was a few years there, Q, we were talking to Janet fans and saying, you guys should start something up. But was it? How long have you been going?
Well, we started in, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kam, I think our first podcast we posted in May. So just a couple months we've been going. And we actually started our podcast, obviously, because we love Janet Jackson. But we really started because we love talking about Janet Jackson. And we kind of figured after the first leg of the State of the World tour, and we're calling it the first leg now because we know that, but we thought that was the end. And so we just weren't ready to stop talking about Janet, and we didn't want her to fall out of top of mind for folks who had been so excited about her tour, which had been so successful and so exciting. And we just weren't ready to stop talking about her. We didn't want to let her go. So kind of that's where this came from.
Yeah, and then if you combine our love for music in general, and we've always had little conversations about music, and we just decided to make it into a podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sound familiar, Jamon?
Yeah, it kind of does, really. Kind of like our story. I really like what you said there, Kam, about having, a love for music in general, because that really comes through in the show, I think. You often, when you're talking about Janet, you connect her to what some other artists are doing and talk about her in comparison, even though there is no comparison, of course. But I just I just need to say I love what you guys are doing. I've listened to a few episodes now, back to back, and I'm just the whole time I'm listening. It's usually in the car to and from work, and I am just laughing my head off right along with you guys, just laughing so much. You guys are hilarious. Your chemistry is awesome.
Yeah,
well,
unbeatable.
Thank you for that. Yes. And that's what we wanted. We wanted people to feel like they were eavesdropping on the conversation with the cousins. And I hope that comes through in our podcast, just the love we have for each other, the love we have for Janet Jackson, the love we have for music in general.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of love.
A lot of love, a lot of Jackson love, because you're not only fans of Janet, you are also fans of the Jacksons in general and Michael.
Yes, love Michael. Have a crush on 3T still.
I can confirm, yes. She can get 3T into any conversation.
And I can get Randy into any conversation too.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to talk about Randy. Let's talk about Randy, cousin Kam. Let's talk about Randy. So, is Randy the Manny?
Yes. He is the Manny. He needs a job, and he comes in handy for Janet. Yes.
He is not just, Manny as in manager for Janet, but he's like Issa's nanny, you reckon?
Yeah.
That's what she's decided for sure.
Yeah. I've given him that job. He may not think so, but I've given him that job.
He's holding the diaper bag. He's pushing the stroller.
He's changing bottles and potty training as we speak.
Yep. Oh, glad we cleared that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 episodes to go to catch up. I've tried so hard not to binge on them all because a listener only told me about this. It was probably only about a month ago or a month and a half ago. I think I could be wrong. It might have been Ashley, but whatever listener it was that pointed me in your direction, I'm very grateful. And I don't know how I was oblivious to it since May. I remember searching for Janet podcasts last year and there were none, so I just hadn't found it yet. But I think I've got 2 episodes that I've saved. One of them's the If episode. But I love the format. So tell people a little bit about the format of the show, and then you do some little differences in episodes like games and such.
Right. Yes. So typically our format is we open with news, whatever that might be, which has been very different as of late because Janet has been so busy. Very busy. But we also have a song that we discuss each episode. So we talk about the actual content of the song, the lyrical content, the music, and then we talk about the music video. And then if possible, we like to put it into context of what was going on in her life at that time and what was going on overall in the music scene. And a lot of times when we do that, we find that Michael and Janet are on the charts at the same time, or they've got some synchronicities in their career too that we like to discuss. So that's kind of the format in general. And then on the tell-in, we like to play a game or have a discussion. A lot of times it'll be something silly like trying to answer a question the way that we think Janet Jackson would answer a question, or some Janet Jackson trivia that Cammy and I will try to stump each other, but just something just to keep the conversation going and just to have a good time. And this week we had Cam, we haven't even talked about this. I don't know if you noticed, but some of the questions we asked in some of our earlier episodes in this round of Janet Jackson interviews, she's actually been answering some of the questions.
Did Janet answer what she would take to a potluck?
She did not. She did not answer that, and that is crucial because I think that is crucial. We need to settle this.
Yeah. What were your answers again?
I said Rotel.
I had to Google Rotel. We do not know what that is.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell our listeners what Rotel is in case they were oblivious like us? We don't have it here.
Okay, let me break down the Rotel recipe. You get some Velveeta cheese, the whole block, and you melt it in a crock pot. So you add Rotel, tomatoes, and peppers. You get it out of a can. You put that in there. And then you brown or cook some ground beef, pork sausage. You can even do shrimp. You can just put all kind of meat in there, and you melt it down. And you eat it with tortilla chips. Oh, it's delicious.
Wow.
That sounds good.
That sounds like a main meal.
I'm ready to try some of that.
That doesn't sound like a small dish. That's like a main meal.
Yeah. But you gotta have it at the cookout. I think Janet will walk in and be like, "Y'all got that Rotel ready?"
And what was your answer for that question, Courtney?
So my answer was a little more simple. I said hummus.
Hummus.
Right. Yes. I said hummus. And I felt strongly convicted. But every time Cam talks about this Rotel, even though I know Janet Jackson is a vegetarian, in my mind, Cam, you're selling it so well. I'm like, maybe she would bring Rotel.
I was sold.
Janet will eat that Rotel. Nobody wants to eat ground sweet peas or whatever it's called, chickpeas.
I feel strongly though that maybe she doesn't know what Rotel is because this round of interviews has been very revealing. You know, we learned recently that she doesn't know what hot Cheetos are.
You gotta know what a hot Cheeto is.
Right. We learned.
Well, Catherine knows what a hot Cheeto is.
Exactly. I was like, I think there's hot Cheetos at Havenhurst. I'm pretty sure. Yes. We learned that she, had a Kit Kat for the first time in her adulthood.
What? How can she be alive for so long without a Kit Kat?
So I'm just going to assume that, she's been an adult for a long time. So maybe, we're assuming recent adulthood. Maybe she meant, early adulthood. But she did express it as though it was somewhat new to her.
Yeah.
Oh,
the hot Cheetos threw up for a curve.
Yeah, that's...
Yes. So again, I think hummus is probably safer because, I feel like people that travel in that circle know what hummus is, and also she doesn't have to do anything, and I feel like that's important as well. Like,
now, Courtney and Kam, speaking about all these interviews she's doing at the moment, have you guys? I've got to ask, have you thought about reaching out to Janet to get her on the show yourself?
So we were on it. Absolutely, we haven't, and part of it is just you know, this is a surprise to us that she's this active. So we're trying to get our act together. You know, who to approach and how, and maybe we can get some advice from you guys on kind of how you've gone about building your roster and getting some of the great interviews that you all have in many of your episodes. But that's
Twitter.
something that's on the agenda.
That's it, just Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's there. So we're going to try and start reaching out to her folks. We just wanted to make sure we were putting out a quality product, that we knew what we were doing. Kam and I, you know, we're kind of podcast novices, as it were. So we were just trying to get ourselves together and put together a strong program and really be a forum for fans. So we're starting to line up some guests now, and a lot of that is thanks in part to you guys for just being such strong partners and sharing, you know, the word about our podcast, because we're starting to get folks who are, hey, when you guys talk about such and such song, can I be on your show, or
that's great,
or that kind of thing. So we've got some folks coming up, and we're excited about that. And we just wanted to kind of have a strong product and be a forum where fans like us, who maybe your friends aren't as excited about Janet Jackson as you may be. We wanted to be a forum where you can just come and truly stand and fangirl or fanboy out about someone that we believe is a true living legend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Well, we are getting the word out today. Where can people find your podcast? Where can they listen to it?
We're trying to be everywhere that they are. So you can get us on Google Play, the Apple Podcast, of course, SoundCloud. We are somewhat lackadaisical, if I admit it, on YouTube, but we are on YouTube. It just takes us a little longer to get there. So if you subscribe, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, you'll get those, you know, the moment they arrive. And then the next day when I remember, I put them on YouTube.
The next day? That's better than us. We're lucky if we get it out a week or two later on YouTube.
Yeah. For us, YouTube is a courtesy for us. It's just we're doing
Yes. This is a community service. Like,
that's
I'll
right.
get to it when I get to it.
It's a gateway drug. You like us on YouTube? Come over to the podcast.
Yeah.
Because you are not alone. They are here with you.
All right, let's get into some fan chat now. I do want to talk about the new stuff. Cannot wait to talk about Made for Now. But let's do a little flashback. I'm going to lead into it and tell you, Janet was my first ever concert.
Oh, yeah. Mine too.
On the Janet World Tour. It was an indoor entertainment centre here in Perth. I think was that about 94, I'm guessing that tour was. My dad took me to the concert, and we had seats that were sort of up in the stands, and not long into the concert, I was like, I'm going to see if I can go down the front. So I went for a little walk, and there was this sort of main stage area, and in front of that a big fenced off square, but to the sides of that some sort of like triangular parts where it was not really seating, and I saw people in the little corners next to the stage area. So I went down there, and I had a great view. It was awesome. That was an incredible first concert. It was a great show. That set educated me about Gaudi and his architecture, and you know, that was such a great era. So that was my first concert. And I actually think my first album that I got on cassette that was mine and not the family's was at Christmas, and it was the Rhythm Nation cassette.
I love it.
Yeah, because my sister pinched it out of my Christmas stocking and said, no, Santa gave it to her. And Mum was like, no, I don't think Santa did. I think Santa gave that to your brother, so you better give it back.
She was in control that time. I love it. Yes. Well, that's an awesome first concert. How are you not ruined for concerts ever? Like, who can top that?
Well, yeah, pretty much. And then I don't know if it was the next one, but a few years later in 96, I did get to see Michael in concert twice for the History World Tour. So, yeah, my standards are pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the only artist that really matches them was Lady Gaga, because her stages are incredible. Her live performance is incredible. You know, she's with flaming pianos and Castle of Grayskull opening up on stage. And
you've seen Prince really, too. You spoke highly of Prince's show.
Prince was an experience. Like, I felt that in my soul.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing, because that was just him and a piano, and that was it.
Wow.
And that was very special. And that was only like 2 months before he passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was very lucky. And I also have early memories of renting from the video store the Janet Control video cassette with all the Control album video clips.
Yes, yes.
So Janet was for me before Michael.
So Janet was your gateway drug.
Janet was my gateway drug.
I love it.
Yeah.
Everyone has a gateway Jackson. I feel like most people who like the Jacksons like all the Jacksons, but there's one that was kind of their entry into the family.
Yep. It wasn't LaToya, it was Janet.
Yeah.
Before I get your fan stories, I did forget to mention this. Who was talking about LaToya's headband on your show?
That was me. That was Courtney.
I love it. We actually put a great picture up of LaToya wearing her headband back in the 80s. And now I was like, bring it back, LaToya. It's great.
I've seen her a couple times recently. She was on a cooking show. She had the headband.
Yes.
And I can't recall exactly when she spoke to the medium if she had the headband, but I know for sure on the cooking show. And I'm telling you, it's something about that headband. Headband LaToya is the best LaToya.
Absolutely. Headband LaToya is the best. She was wearing it this week on her Instagram.
She sure did. Yes, she did. I saw that.
Yep. I love it. All right. So who wants to go first and tell me and Jamon and all our wonderful listeners about your Janet fan story? Who's up?
Go ahead, Courtney. I'll let you go first.
Thanks, Cousin Kam.
Thanks. Yes. Well, I am always excited to talk about Janet Jackson. So my fan story, I do believe Janet Jackson was my first concert. Saw her Rhythm Nation tour in Detroit, Michigan in 1989. And before that, I just remember being completely enamored with her. And it's so funny, my memory is a little fuzzy about how, because I wasn't quite old enough to take in, I didn't really watch Fame. I didn't really watch Good Times until it was in syndication. But I remember clearly there was a American Bandstand Countdown that used to come on Saturday mornings, and my neighbor would babysit me and I would be at her house. And I remember when I saw the Pleasure Principle video, it was over for me. It was like time stood still and I was watching the most magical person on earth. And I remember standing in front of this TV hypnotized for the full 3 minutes or whatever it was. And I really felt like my life was changed watching her perform Pleasure Principle. And then from there, just that Control album was spectacular. I remember seeing the When I Think of You video, and I remember seeing Nasty, and just all of those things back to back to back was like truly overwhelming for, however old I was, 9, 10, 11, however old I was. It was all truly amazing. But it wasn't until I got to be older and I really started to appreciate her development as a person. One of the reasons I truly love Janet Jackson is her humanity, her humility, but also she was always letting us in on her growth. when she changed as a person, her albums changed, and she allowed us in on that. And I remember as a kid growing up, that was really impressive upon me because it told me that you don't have to be what you were yesterday. You should always be striving to be better, always be striving to be your true self, but you don't owe it to anyone to be what you were yesterday. You can be a new you, the best you can be in that moment. And so I love that with each project, she continues to reinvent, reintroduce herself. And I love that. And it gave me a little sense of freedom as well as an introverted, awkward child. And I'm now an introverted, awkward adult, but I still feel a sense of freedom in continuing to explore who I am and who I'm becoming. And I think that model for that was Janet Jackson.
Wow. What an answer.
Yeah, I can't top that.
You can try.
You got it. I know you're probably going to start with Michael Jackson. Go on and get in there.
Okay, yes. My name is Cousin Kam, and Michael Jackson was my gateway drug. But I fell in love with Michael at a very young age, around 3 years old. But when I first discovered Janet was actually when the Control video came out. And I saw her with that headset, and she was rocking the stage, and I was just like, this is Michael's sister? And from then on, I just continued to follow her career. But the first time I actually got a chance to see her in concert was the Unbreakable tour in Memphis, Tennessee in September at the FedEx. And when I tell you just the line, just to see Janet was so long, there were so many fans, and I felt like I was with family because I would mention songs that maybe people who only listen to all her projects would know. And they were like, yeah, I love that song. And they were just telling me their experiences, whether it was their first time or how many concerts they've seen her in. And then when I walked into the arena and was able to look at some of her, MTV Moon Man awards and just some of the stuff that she shares with her fans, to be honest with you, I never have seen an artist share that much of their success with their fans, just to walk around and just see, things that mean so much to her. And I mean, we spent like a good 45 minutes, me and my sister, just looking at all the things that she has, done over the years and stuff, and her Grammys and stuff like that. And then when she finally hit the stage, I was like a kid who was looking at Santa for the first time. I was just like, wow. And I mean, I enjoyed every song, every hit. I mean, everything that she did. And she just kept my attention the whole time. And when I say I got my money's worth, I got my money's worth. I mean, I left there going, Janet didn't have to do me like this, you know what I'm saying? I just really felt like I felt like I was watching probably one of the last, legends of entertainers out there from my generation, because she just did like a magnificent job with it. So that experience, I mean, I'll never forget just seeing her in concert and her, performing.
Have you seen her since that show, Cousin Kam?
Well, I have to admit, I had a chance to go see her, but I ended up seeing Charlie Wilson. Forgive me, Jackson gods.
You've got to share the Cousin Kam. You've got to share the Cousin Kam. And she'll be back.
Yeah. I'm loving this Jen here.
I know, yeah. And I wanted to chime in too. You mentioned about kind of the touring museum that she took with her on the Unbreakable tour. And that is another thing that is like truly, I can't say it's specific or unique to Janet. I just can say that I only know of her who's done it. I'm sure other folks have done it. But I've
never heard of anyone else doing that, like having an exhibit that shows
she takes
different
costumes,
artifacts and things. That's amazing.
Awards.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's like you, Kam, you said you spend about 45 minutes in there. I went with a friend here, and one of my passions is, I like to break in Janet Jackson virgins. So I took someone who had never.
Have we got a show title like you or what?
Popping the Janet cherry.
Yes, exactly. So like That's my kink. So whenever she's around, I try to take someone who's never gone before. So that particular time, I had gone with a friend who'd never seen Janet Jackson, and she was so excited. And we went into the exhibit and we, took pictures. There's like artifacts. There's gifts from Michael in there. I think there was old costumes, and there were her Moonmen from her VMAs and Grammys and just tons of things. And so we were in there for about 40 minutes. And when we came out, and my friend who'd never seen Janet in concert, she's like, that was awesome. And we still get to see Janet. Like, she's so excited.
Oh, wow.
That is so cute. No, I love those stories of when you introduce people to live Janet for the first time. That's a great community service that you're doing.
It is. I'm all about the people. Listen, I want everyone to live their best life, which is why I am a Janet Jackson witness. Like, if Janet Jackson isn't a part of your life, you are not living your best life.
Mm-hmm. That is true. I have to say, the Unbreakable album, what was that, 3 years ago now? 2015?
Yes, 2015.
Yes. 2015. Yep, wow. That album I love so much. Like, talk about return to peak.
Right, the highest form. Exactly.
Yeah, bring in, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and just smack this down, because it is such a good and strong album. Mm-hmm. And now we've got a new single from what sounds like an upcoming EP made for now, and it is solid. I love it.
Absolutely.
It is such a good song. Tell us about when this dropped and your reactions and how much you guys love the song.
Go ahead, Kam.
When I heard the song, I'm be honest, I was a little hesitant, because I was like, I want Janet to come out strong. I want her to, say, hi, haters. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still here. I'm still the queen. And so looking at the, some of the photos that came out from the video shoot, I was just like I got my fingers crossed. And when I heard the song, I was like, okay, let me play this one more time. So I played it twice. And I said, nah, man. But after the 50th time, I was hooked. No. But after the 5th time I listened to the song, I was like, this was perfect. It was an upbeat tempo. It was uplifting. It was just Janet. And it was her doing what she does best. I understand, a lot of times the music scene right now is changing. You have to do things different. But in a way, Made for Now, to me, reminds me of what Janet is about. She's uplifting, upbeat. If you're having a bad day, you play that Janet and it gets you going. Yeah. And adding Daddy Yankee to it. And to me, he's like the best hype man, because to me, he's just like, do your thing, Janet, do your thing. And it's just it was stuck in my head after 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'm walking around going, Made for now. So, I was glad.
It stays with you, for sure.
It stays with you.
Yeah. Kam and I try not to talk between podcasts unless we're just having like a regular, talking about family or something like that. We try not to talk Janet Jackson between podcasts so that folks can get our first reactions. And that afternoon, we're texting back and forth, and we're like, stop it. We stopped talking. We can't. And then, like, one of us would admonish the other, like, no more. And then another text would come, and it's like, no more. But we were so excited about the song, and I was really excited because, one, I felt like she came to make a global statement. So that song, to me, had the power to be successful everywhere. And I really liked the fact that it was uplifting. It was classic Janet in a way, but with a new twist. And that's kind of what we're accustomed to from Janet. And so to me, it felt like a signal like, okay, we're back on track. We're, the way that Unbreakable kind of set Janet in order. It felt like, okay, this is good. This is whatever is to follow is going to be fantastic. So I really enjoyed the single. And then she just kept punching us. Like, she would not let us get off the mat, because the single came, the video came, then the Jimmy Fallon performance. And wouldn't let us up. Like, just so much fabulousness, so much excellence. We couldn't catch our breath.
And then when XM Radio said, hey, we're going to give you a Janet channel for a couple of days, Rhythm Nation channel, I was like, do you not know how you're feeding my addiction? I walked around the office singing all the hits. They were like, Cammy, will you shut up? I'm like, I can't. It's Janet.
Yeah, and even the video itself for Made for Now. I just realized this morning, I didn't know it, but there's two Made for Now videos. There's the
vertical video.
The vertical version. Video. I did not even know that. And that was great. I loved how behind the scenes that is and how she's goofing around, and it's all sort of like selfie style shot, and that's a fun video in itself.
Absolutely. I really liked it. In fact, I saw a little snippet of it. Someone put it on Facebook and they had only put like 20 seconds out. And I spent the next 40 minutes like texting and emailing folks on Facebook, like, if there's more of this, I need it. I need it now. So finally got a hold of the video and I watched the whole thing and I just thought, yeah, I love this. Dave Meyers is such a spectacular director. As we know, he's done 7 or so videos with Janet Jackson. And then he's also responsible for one of our other faves, Missy Elliott, who should win the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award next year, or we should just end it altogether.
Yes,
like, stop giving it out if you're not going to
also say his name
people.
Too. Yeah.
Yes,
say
his
name.
name. It's his award.
That's yes, say his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
The video, wow. Like, when I heard the song, I think the first time I heard it, it was very solid, but it was very different to Unbreakable. It was such a different vibe. And I listened to it and I was like, okay, this, I guess you could say it sounds like all the current sort of similar sounding summer jams. And then I listened to it again. I was like, actually, no, I get this. And then because the video came out straight away, I was like, okay, this is just taking it so higher. The elevation with the visuals was something else. Like, the visuals for this video were just phenomenal, and just seeing Janet in 50,000 different costumes looking like absolute African royalty was just phenomenal. And I was like, yep, this is the song of this year.
I'm going into withdrawal because I don't think I've seen the video in 3 days or so. And so now you're talking about it, like, immediately I must see it again. Kam and I talked about, the outfits started leaking, and even Janet on an interview today, I saw it today. It was actually from a couple days ago, but she was talking about how difficult that shoot was because it's been so long since she's not been on a lot, that they shot like in the streets. And so trying to keep the song a secret, and they actually recorded most of the video, the dance breaks, they were wearing like earpieces so that they wouldn't play the music in the city.
Oh,
and so that people couldn't,
so
that people couldn't like record their songs and leak it to the radio or whatever. And so just thinking about like what they were doing behind the scenes. And even when Kam and I saw like all the costumes, one of the wardrobe designers had taken some pictures and put them on Instagram, like the pictures from the shoot long before we saw the video. And I just thought, there's no way they're going to use all these clothes. And it's like, there's no way. What are y'all doing?
That looked like the costumes for the entire cast, but that was just for Janet.
Yeah, those were Janet's costumes. Yes. And so when you see all of that and when you see the finished product, it's like, I'm just stunned. I don't want to be as stunned as I am because I feel like that means that I underestimated her. But that's fair, though, because, I mean, she raised the game. But I was just stunned that at this point, she's still putting out visuals that they're trailblazing. Because just the way that this video was shot, it feels like we know it's not a one take, but it feels like a one take. Just some of the technology they were using with the cameras and the zooms and going through walls and the fabrics and the dancing. And even when she talks about the dancing, they learned that routine inside of a week. It was really significantly less than a week to put together all of those dance components. And so just when you take it all in at once. You're amazed. And then when you think about all the bits and pieces behind it, it's like, wow, she did it again. Like, she really raised the game yet again.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how she tops it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine what's next.
Yeah. But I'm so excited to see what's next also from her.
Well, let's speculate. What do you think is coming next?
I'm thinking maybe a European leg of State of the World tour too, and just hopefully she drops, and maybe another single to keep the vibe going for the EP to drop.
Well, that would make a lot of European people happy because they had tickets to shows for the Unbreakable World Tour, and then Janet got busy and couldn't answer the call.
Got busy for real.
Yep, got busy, can't answer the calls, and then they're still waiting. Some people still have tickets, I think. So hopefully she does do that, and then hopefully after that she can come back to Australia.
Yes, please. It's time.
Yes. I think that she will do a European tour. I agree with my cousin. I think that that's what's going to happen. And I'm very curious about this EP. So she's been saying it's going to drop in the fall, and I'm not sure if she's super aware of when fall is, because she also keeps saying that it's a work in progress. And I'm like, fall is 3 weeks, ma'am. So I'm just like, you should have a little more solid grasp on what this might be.
Yeah, have a look at a calendar, Janet. Have a look at a calendar.
So no pressure, though, because she's been working so hard, and I kind of just want her to take a nap. So if it takes a couple extra days or weeks or whatever for her to get it together, because I'm super concerned at this point, because I mean, this woman's everywhere. Like, I just saw her in a Uber commercial, which I don't know what that was about. But I need you to just
I haven't seen that yet.
Simmer down, have a bath, relax, and we'll be here. But I know you got to strike while the getting's good, but also too, I want her to take the time that she needs for herself and for self-care and to be with the little one and all of that stuff.
It is very hectic at the moment, isn't it? She is doing a lot. We needed you guys on to give us some backup. There's so much news. But I'm curious about the EP itself. Do we know anything about the production behind it? I don't even know who produced Made for Now. Is that person producing all the songs on it, or?
So I don't know that we know that. Go ahead, Kam.
Yeah, they haven't really said who's all worked on it, but I do know that is it Samuels? I can't think of his person's name. Harmony, who worked on Made for Now. So I imagine he would probably still have a little more put him in some more tracks in with this EP, hopefully. And of course, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they are her, her family, and they know what Janet's about. So hopefully they get their hands in the lab and put something on the EP too. We're hoping.
Yeah. I think that they are definitely involved, which is a relief for many Janet Jackson fans.
Yes, true fans.
There is a sense of comfort when we know that the trio is together.
Yeah,
for sure.
And they did have some involvement with Made for Now, didn't they? So
they did,
Harmony was, I think, the main producer, but then Jimmy and Terry came in and finished it up, I guess.
Yeah, and they actually produced the vocals. So Janet, Jimmy, and Terry, from my understanding, did the vocal arrangements, and Harmony was more responsible for the track and also some of the songwriting.
Well, it worked out well. It worked out really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a great decision for her to come back with such a positive song. Unbreakable it is an excellent album, and I love it, but it's got some real depth to it, and it's got some darker themes in there as well. And, I don't want to get into the personal life stuff, but over the past few years, it's clear that she's been through some, difficult circumstances. And I just think it was such a great decision to come back with such a positive vibe. I remember Q, when we spoke to, I think it was Taj one time, he said his favorite Janet is Happy Janet, like All For You style.
Happy Janet.
And that's exactly what I needed. Even you just look at the state of the world right now politically. I think the world needs positivity. And it was a great vibe to come back with.
Absolutely. I mean, the title says it all. That song was made for now, and it was what we needed right now, I think, especially, I don't want to get into it, but you all know what we're dealing with here in the United States. So
yeah.
My Lord.
It was definitely, we need, and I think that's why I listened to the song on repeat, because that 3-minute distraction isn't enough. Like, I need just one more time.
Yeah, and then where there might not, you hear the occasional fan say, yeah, it's got a very current sounding flavor, it's very current. But where there's depth, you got to read between the lyrics, see what's going on in the video, see what's going on in the Fallon performance. It's about bringing people together, inclusivity, and there's so much depth in that. And it's like a counter statement to what's going on politically. Very, very, it's what we needed.
Absolutely. Which is what she does and has done for so long. When you think about Rhythm Nation and the way that she was able to deliver that in a way that people needed it at that time, right? Like, she revolutionized dance, she revolutionized videos, and she was like, also, here is this message.
Message.
Yes, message.
And I think with her Billboard performance, speech, she was just talking about we need love. And she's right. Everybody needs love. And I remember when she did an article, her article with Essence magazine, she talked about, just being uplifting and the stages that she went through in her life of, loving herself and being comfortable with who she is. And I think, a teenager may need to see that, or just someone else who going through something needs to know, hey, what you're going through, I've been there. Even though I've sold all these records, I've been there where you are. I've had those mornings where, I didn't love my smile or my butt, things like that. And just kind of, just encourage them to, love yourself and love each other.
Janet has, I can't remember about 20-year-old or maybe Demeter Joe, what the messages and themes in those albums were. I don't listen to them as much, but like Janet right from the start, and this is pretty much for the whole Jackson family, they've always been very vocal about issues and inspiring people into action and things like that. Like, even I've got a tweet here from Janet 10 days ago, and it's to all you young women out there: make your voice heard and vote. Join Michelle Obama's When We All Vote to register yourself and friends and spread awareness on voting. And see you on Election Day. Sign up at whenweallvote.org. How many other people are putting stuff out like that now in this climate? That is, I was so happy when I saw that from the Janet Jackson. Like, that is what she tweeted. So tell us a little bit about what Janet means in the community, really, over in America at the moment.
I think she means a lot to the community. I know one thing that about Janet is we watched Janet grow. She, to me, as a not just as a just as a person, I'm gonna just say, to me, she represents strength, determination, and also just staying focused. Because the success that Janet has gotten didn't come overnight. I mean, she had projects that didn't sell millions, There was record labels that were like, hey, Janet can't sell. She's not like Michael. But that didn't stop her. She was determined to to be an entertainer and to make her own lane. And even when she went through the situation with the Super Bowl, her strength, we saw Janet this woman took on a backlash of being boycotted, called so many things. And she faced it head on in the public eye. And to me, I'm like, if Janet can go through that, I can make it, And I just, to me, she's always just represent strength and determination. What about you, Courtney?
I certainly would agree. And you mentioning the Super Bowl reminds me of the article you sent me today. For me, there is a mixed legacy in the United States for Janet Jackson, and it is a struggle for me. It's almost painful for me because, of course, there are those of us who have grown with her and who love her, like my cousin and myself, and we understand truly what she has done since the beginning. Like, people forget that on the Rhythm Nation tour, she sponsored Cities for Schools. She donated, I think it was like a quarter from every ticket sale to Cities for Schools, which supported inner city urban school districts. Mm-hmm. She also did work with the NAACP during that time. So there was a lot of things that she was doing in the Black community in the U.S. in general. And still there's this cloud over her legacy in regards to the Super Bowl issue. Then there's folks who say, the Jacksons aren't Black enough, which is so very confusing to me. I don't want to get into that because it is so confusing to me. Like, who is the arbiter of Blackness, of culture? Who is the arbiter? Like, when do we vote? Because I didn't cast my vote. But this cloud. So Cammie sent me an article today about Les Moonves from CBS. So after the Super Bowl issue, where we know that for less than 1 second, a nipple was displayed on television and basically cost her career. And so everyone had spoke speculatively about it today, but about it up until now, but definitively, it was reported today that Les Moonves made it his mission to destroy Janet Jackson's career. He felt like she did not apologize appropriately. Basically, she did not grovel. And he made it his decision that he would ruin her. He struck her from any MTV, Viacom outlets, be it radio stations, TV stations. Mm-hmm. And he was very upset when he found out that she had that book deal with Simon & Schuster, because they are a subsidiary of Viacom. And when he found out that she got a book deal, he was ready to fire some people. Like, that was 7 years after the Super Bowl. And he was still on a tear of making sure she never recovered. And so that was a very big split in the United States, because there's still people who are arguing about whether she did it on purpose or didn't do it on purpose. And to me, that isn't important. If she said she didn't do it on purpose, I believe her. But if she did, is it worth ruining someone's career because we saw a thing that every human on earth has? But I think it was deeper than that. I think it was because up until that point, she had been a strong Black feminist. She had been outspoken about equal rights. She had been outspoken about racial issues. And so that was the chance for someone to put her in her place. I'm using air quotes, put her in her place. And they took it. That's what they did, because we noticed that there were very few repercussions for the person who actually revealed the breast. She suffered tremendously year after year and is still rebuilding. And that's one of the reasons that I love her so much, is because we know that was painful for her. She's expressed it. And in fact, for many years, she did not want to talk about it. We know that was painful for her, but she still gets up and holds her head up high, and she still continues to climb.
I find it interesting to watch the interviews that took place around that time on late night shows. And there's a terrible interview where she's, I think it's Letterman actually, and
Letterman.
He just grills her and he won't let it go. And it's question after question after question about that one thing. I read an article yesterday actually that was, I don't know if it was an article, it might have been a tweet, I can't recall, but it was about how the powers that be at the time using that situation for their own political gain, and how there were two very controversial wars happening at the time in Iraq and Afghanistan, and a controversial administration as well, wanting to introduce even more, rigorous censorship on television, and using that situation to lengthen the delay out on TV, live television, so they can censor things. So I found that interesting.
It changed everything. Yes. Most live shows from that point on, I think, aired with a 5-second delay. Which is so silly. Like, it's so befuddling to me, but it's good that some of this is starting to come to the surface, because I don't think people really recognize what the impact was on her career, because there are folks who just say, well, the album wasn't good. I think this was going into Damien Jones.
It's one of my favorite Janet albums. So strong.
People just say it wasn't good. Or they say, well, this was the time of the changing of the guard. You know, we have this belief that there can only be one pop star at a time. And this was the changing of the guard. And so Janet's time was over. So yeah, maybe it hurt a little bit, but really it was just over for her and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, the truth is, no, there was a concerted effort to damage one person's career because someone got embarrassed. And basically that's what he said. She was embarrassed. He embarrassed her and he didn't feel like she was contrite enough, or how did they say it? Remorseful enough.
Yeah.
And so what I heard was the black woman didn't grovel. That's what I heard.
So bad.
I have a question. One last question on this topic. It's I mean, as Michael Jackson fans, Q, you would agree, I think, that we often spend our time speaking with, you know, casual fans or people that aren't even fans about particular topics. For example, you know, what, you know, didn't happen in 1993 with Michael Jackson.
Absolutely.
Would you say that as a Janet fan that the Super Bowl incident is comparable? That's the 93 of the Janet fan world.
You and me, cousin.
Go ahead, Kam.
Okay, let me just be honest. I get the jokes. I wish the jokes would stop because I guess it's because I'm such a fan of Janet and I love her. I think sometimes people just make statements as if, oh, she needed to sell records, or she just wanted some attention, or she just, you know, was just trying to get a hoorah. And I'm just like, dude, it was a little pasty on her. But you're talking about, you know, for a quick second. But yet and still, the other person is looked at as, oh, he did nothing wrong. He just got too overly excited about the situation. Yeah. And I'm just like, sometimes people forget that even though she's a celebrity, she's a human being. So I spent like around Super Bowl, I spent half of my time really defending Janet, saying, hey, you don't know the whole story. And you got to realize that this woman's career took a hit, and, you know, and she doesn't have to do all that to sell records, you know? So it gets tough around the Super Bowl. I mean, I just be preaching to myself, I guess, but that's the only time where I'm just like, you know, I get frustrated. Yeah. And I'm like that
every year
too.
Every year, every year, someone wants to talk to you about the Super Bowl incident with Janet Jackson and argue about whether it was on purpose or not on purpose. And who cares? I don't care. But I will be honest, I was dating someone and he wouldn't let up about it being intentional, and so we weren't dating anymore.
Wow, goodbye.
I love it.
I do this with you.
Good move, Courtney. Good move.
Well, I jumped somebody because we feel like Michael Jackson. I was like, they was like, Michael Jackson is this, that, and that. I was like, well, we don't need to talk. I have Janet on one side. I got Mike on the corner. I got
And then you got TJ from 3-2 on the other side.
Got Joe in the corner somewhere. Don't make me bring out the That's
yeah.
But there is that. So there is constant. It feels like, and there's constant defending of the legacy. And one of the things that bothers me a little bit when we think about Janet Jackson is I feel, and Kam, you can chime, I feel like she doesn't get, for all she's done. We're talking about a woman who is charted on the Billboard 100 in 4 decades. For all she's done, she doesn't get permanent legend status. It feels like it's always on trial. It's temporary. It depends on what she does next. And I don't think we think about other legends in that way. I don't think anyone is like, you know, in the 80s, if the Rolling Stones' next album is trash, then that's it. They were the worst band in history. But I feel like it always depends on what she does next. And I am of the belief that if she had stopped in 1997, she would be a legend. The body of work that she had presented up until that point, I mean, she had already won a VMA, the Video Vanguard Award to be specific. And the body of work that she had delivered at that point, she was a legend, right? And so I don't think there's anything that she can do to take away from that. Anything she does now is just bonus. It's icing. It's additional. So I find that upsetting. And the fact, I'm going to quickly get on this because I don't want Cammy to attack, because we both get riled up about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But that's another area where she was the first Black woman to have a #1 rock and roll song and to win a award for producer of the year for a rock song. And whenever anyone talks to you about why she isn't in the Hall of Fame, they say she's not a rock artist. Well, okay, I don't know if NWA is a rock artist, but here we are.
Right.
So, but this woman has rock credentials. Like, she's got
For sure.
credentials.
Multiple.
So it's a struggle for me. It feels like she has had to kick and climb at every step of the way. And when you look at her as a person and what she's contributed out of the goodness of her heart, you're like, this woman has harmed no one. She has always been gracious, always been kind, always been humble, always giving of herself. She has never shied away from using her light to let someone else shine. So I'm not going to get on Justin Timberlake, but she's never shied away from that. And so the fact that she's always only been gracious, and that still we make her work so hard for our love, is immensely frustrating for me.
And just to piggyback off of that, my biggest fear is I don't want them to treat Janet like we've done with other artists. Like, I remember when Michael passed, I was angry, not because he had passed, but because people were just now realizing what a genius, what a gem he was with this music. And I don't want the same thing for Janet. I feel like she should get her flowers now, give her just due, because she's earned it. I mean, she's worked her butt off for it. So don't wait until something tragic happens to her. Give it to her now, because she deserves it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Another topic I was hoping we could get into quickly is something I just thought of, and it's Michael and Janet as siblings that always had each other's backs, even in their darkest hours. Like, we spoke about the Super Bowl before. I remember Michael doing an interview, a televised interview around that time. I think it was with Geraldo or someone, and he said, he was talking about Janet, and he said, "This too shall pass," And I remember when Michael was dealing with his things, and I think it was at the 95 VMAs when Janet wore that white shirt with Pervert 2 on the back, as if to say, you can't call him a pervert, because if you do, you got to call me one as well. And, she was there holding his arm at his trial. And the closeness of these two scream, I just think as siblings, they ruled the industry together, especially during the 90s, and always were there for each other. And I like looking at their legacies as intertwined in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. And it was funny, the other day, I Googled, just random, I can't remember what I was looking for, but I started it with, is Michael Jackson? And Google auto-completed with Janet Jackson's brother.
Oh, wow.
I was like, is this a question people are asking?
Still? What?
Wow.
And can't believe that. They're creative ideas as well. Like, Janet said to Michael, "Hey, I like your military sort of style. Do you think I can sort of borrow that look?" And there's Rhythm Nation. That's like a whole sort of era. That's like a whole uniform almost.
And Michael's favorite song to rehearse to dance to was the Knowledge.
Knowledge, yeah. I remember seeing that.
So
and they
creatively,
talk a lot about how they came up with a lot of the ideas at the same time.
Yes.
And I always thought that was interesting. So they would kind of like negotiate on like who gets to execute it at this time. So I always thought that was really neat. And a lot of the, songs, especially on Thriller, when you think about PYT and those things, to me, I'm like, it's so fun to think about them creating together, like the magic. And I'm just like, really, Katherine Jackson is the real MVP here, because how did this happen? Like,
in the one family?
How did this happen?
Yeah.
I mean, even Jermaine had hits also, and even Rebe. I mean, Rebe could have been a superstar, but she just didn't like the limelight. I mean, a very talented family.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
One of my favorite Michael and Janet moments is the Grammys. The Grammys, where she presented him with his I can't remember what the award was. Q, what was was it the Lifetime Achievement?
The Legend Award.
The Legend Award.
The Legend Award. Yeah. That. Oh my God. I remember watching that live and, recording on the VCR. Yeah, that was like, on our TV. And I remember sitting there recording it, and that little package that Janet presented with the big book on the big screens in the background. And then, and then, and then Mike comes out and he's like, this puts to rest another rumor. Me and Janet really are two separate people.
Yes.
And it was so funny. I'll always remember that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Classic. Oh man, this has been so much fun. And again, just can you let people know the name of your show and where they can find it and where they can find you online, where you want people to sort of interact with you on social media and such?
Absolutely. So once again, it's Courtney and Cousin Kam, and we host a show dedicated to Janet Jackson called Janet Today, Janet Tomorrow, Janet Forever. And you can find us on social media at JJ Today Pod, anywhere. So Instagram and Twitter are the same. We love to talk to you. So go ahead and hit us up on Twitter. Talk to us. We talk back. Subscribe. That is helpful. Like, and tell a friend. If you know someone who loves Janet Jackson, tell them about us. We want this to be, like we said, a community forum where folks who love Janet Jackson can get together and uplift and love on her together.
Yep.
Tell a friend. That's the most important thing. Tell a friend. We all know someone that's a Janet fan or a Michael fan, and tell them about these incredible free entertainment. Like, talk about value for money with Janet. The same goes for your show. It is value for money. So good.
Yes. You will get your money's worth. I promise.
You will get your money's worth. That's so true. While we were talking, I had a look back, and it was actually February 23, 1995. Not 94, but 95 in Perth, where I saw the Janet concert at the Entertainment Centre. There you go. 95. That was a big year. So, well, firstly, Omar on stage. That was a personal awakening. He was one of Janet's dancers in that tour.
Was
Omar.
So good. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of my favorites.
Oh, me too, for many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was
same.
Awakening me as a young teenager.
All right, calm down, Keith. All right.
What?
Man, you're getting awakened right now.
He's telling his coming of age story.
I am. And Janet was a part of that, and Omar was there too. But that was, there you go, 95. I didn't think it was 95, so there you go. I want to say thank you to you both for what you're doing with the podcast, because not only are you the first that we all know of, so you can take that and run with it because we think that's yours. But
we're taking it.
You take it. It's important. What you're doing is important for not only for Janet, but the Jan fam, for the Janet fan community. What you are doing, ladies, is important and it is terrific. So thank you. I'm so grateful, and I love every show. It is just not only entertaining as heck, but it is educational. It is educational and it is needed.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And don't burn out and don't stop.
Yeah, don't burn out, don't stop.
Yeah, thank you so much for your interactions and for your contributions, your feedback, and for having us here today. It's been such a warm reception from the two of you and your fans. A lot of folks who are interacting with us, we know that they have landed with us because of you, and we are so grateful for that. So thank you. We're telling everyone about your show. We have enjoyed it so much. And I'm amazed. I came to you guys only about a month ago, and I listened to the first episode, maybe like episode 1 and 2, and then I was like, let me go forward in time and just see, like, can they really maintain this enthusiasm for like 85 shows? Mm-hmm. And I'm pleased to report that I don't know how you have done it, but it is just as vibrant, just as exciting. When you told the stories about your interactions with other fans or with people from Michael Jackson or the Jackson family, you all tell it like it happened this morning, and you still feel the excitement, and it definitely travels through your voices and into our ears. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I think it's the same for you guys. We do it all for love, and this love for the Jacksons does not end. It has no bounds, and that's what fuels us all, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
It's the circle of life.
Don't stop to get enough.
All right, Jamon, is there anything else we need to cover with the ladies before we let them go and enjoy their Friday nights?
Yes. I want to ask them some questions about their favorite stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
This could be risky.
Okay, we're going to do favorite Janet and favorite MJ. So,
cool.
Courtney first. What's your favorite Janet song ever?
Oh, man. Ever? Okay, well, this week, my favorite Janet song ever this week is Come Back to Me. Now, normally I would say That's the Way Love Goes or Pleasure Principle. Mm-hmm. But this week I have rediscovered the deep layered harmonies that are Come Back to Me.
Nobody does.
It is touching my soul.
Yeah.
It's touching my soul. My soul. Yeah. Michael, I love more of his statement pieces. So I love all Michael Jackson. Today I was actually listening to some little Michael Jackson, but They Don't Really Care About Us is probably one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. And it came on day before yesterday when I was in the car, and I had arrived at work, and I had to stay in my car so I could finish the dance routine I was doing before I could go into work.
Oh, that's good. That is good. I just saw online, actually, on Twitter that the multi-tracks to They Don't Care About Us just leaked, I think, a couple of hours ago. So we can expect some good fan remixes of that, I think, now.
Oh, yes. Wow. I am for that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Cousin Kam, tell us your favorite Janet song, your favorite Michael song.
Favorite Janet? Oh, man. I'm going to go with If, although I could go with Miss You Much. But I'm going to say If I Was Your Girl. I just love that. And it always reminds me of having a crush on someone. So every time I hear that song, I just go like, oh, man, I remember when I had a huge crush on this person. So that would be for me. For Michael, it's Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. I've told my sister, don't have a funeral for me. Just have a fish fry and play Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. As they play. So
got you covered.
When I get married, I want to walk into that bass line, that dum 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 dum. I gotta walk in on that. I'm sorry.
I vote yes. That is approved. Yes. I approve that idea.
Yes. All right, cousin. You got my back.
I got you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's been really awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, folks, that was the ladies. And we're going to head to a remix now because, of course, you guys don't pay much for this show, so we cannot afford the royalties for the actual song. So we have a remix because that's just, we can pinch that off SoundCloud and hopefully not get in trouble for it. But we've got a remix of Made for Now. And what is this mix? This is the Trace Adam remix of Made for Now. Again, Courtney and Cousin Kam. Is Jamon eligible to be a cousin yet? I think he's passed, hasn't he?
Yeah. Welcome to the family, Jamon.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Score. Nice. Well, Courtney and cousin Kam, get that Rotel out. Here's the remix. And ladies, again, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Till next time, guys.
Till next time.
Don't stop, celebrate the feeling. Grow up, you live it for the moment. Don't stop, celebrate your feelings. Grow up, I'm made for now, not tomorrow. Made for now, not tomorrow. We're made for now, not tomorrow. Made for now, not tomorrow. Just feelings. Go up. Love is in the rhythm in the highway. Dancing with the rope and feeling. Love is on the way to feel up. I'm made for now, not tomorrow. 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 I'm made for now.
This is Tommy, Oregon Guitars on the Michael Jackson This Is It Tour, and you're listening to the MJCast.
Man, that was a cool little remix there of Made For Now and an awesome discussion. I just love Courtney and cousin Kam, and I can't wait one day to have them back on the show.
Can't wait, folks. That'll be so cool. Well, as we wrap up our show, we got finds of the week. It's just you and I this week, Jamon.
Yeah.
You've got a great one.
Yeah. I mean, I stumbled upon this. It's a video that was put out in conjunction with that National Portrait Gallery thing happening in London with Michael's artwork or artwork about Michael. And of course, I think, you know, if we had a vote right now, if we put out a poll and said, what is your favorite Michael Jackson album cover? There is no doubt in my mind that Dangerous would win. I think, you know, History might be a close second there with that amazing Diana Walzak piece, but I think Mark Ryden's piece for Dangerous, I don't know about you, Q, but that's my personal favorite album cover of Michael Jackson. And it is a gorgeous piece, and it was, or still is, I don't know if the Portrait Gallery is still doing their thing, but it was on display, the original painting. in London, and Mark Ryden put out a video explaining the process, not of creating the art piece, but of creating the official frame that is around the art piece. Now, he was tasked with making that frame, which I think is really fitting that the original artist of the piece gets to make the frame as well that it's seen in or displayed in. Obviously,
Totally.
it was made posthumously, so Michael wasn't able to participate in that. But I'm really glad Mark was able to. It is an interesting video. It's actually, I'm just going to come out and say it, it's actually super weird. But then again, it's Mark Ryden we're talking about here. He's an abstract artist, so the video is going to be weird. At one point, he's like lying in a bed, and Michael, as a doll, flies up to his face, and just there's some weird stuff going on in it. But he describes the creation of this frame. I will say one little thing. I love the frame. I love it. But in the video, he comes out and says, "I didn't want to create a frame that takes away in any way or distracts you from the piece." It's pretty big. The frame itself is huge, way bigger than the actual art piece. But aside from that little thing, it's that one thing. I think it is a really fitting, beautiful frame that that original Dangerous art piece is in, and hopefully it stays in there. Q, your thoughts?
I haven't seen the video, but I have seen the sketches, the design sketches that you have also linked to in the show notes. So I have seen those, and I loved those, and I love the frame that I've seen in pictures. I think that frames like that were this big and elaborate for pieces in the past. So to me, it doesn't distract from the piece, because I've seen other pieces with frames that are almost their own work of art, and they complement each other. But I can't wait to check out the video. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a bit of a WTF video, so hit me up with a text once you've seen it. It's very abstract.
Will do. No worries. All right, my find of the week. Yes, my find of the week this week is a video that listener and legendary Aussie MJ tribute artist Paul Rizzo posted, comparing the original release and the number one's DVD release of the film clips for Blood on the Dance Floor and the differences between them. I had never paid attention and remembered well, but yeah, there's some differences. I think I had noticed like, oh, that one's got a different shot of the dagger, or that one's got this. But there's actually more differences than you would realize. It's like all the Susie sexiness and the Susie knife footage is removed from one version compared to the other.
Which one's censored?
And I know I can't remember. I'll have to go back and check. But like there are apparently different versions of the childhood video, black or white, obviously. And You Are Not Alone as well. I saw someone mention in the comments on Facebook. So maybe if someone else has, or if someone's going to do a comparison, that would be actually really interesting to see. If there's already one out there, send me a link. I'd be interested to see. But I just thought that was a really cool thing. I think he pointed this out to us back in late July. I just have not had a chance to use it as my find of the week until now. But thank you, Paul. Very interesting. Go check it out. The little Facebook video is linked in our show notes.
Very cool. Very good find. I love Paul Rizzo. I follow his social media, and he's a great guy. I didn't realize he was into like cosplay to the max. He dresses up as all sorts of people and goes to conventions and stuff. Really cool guy.
That's a whole other talent in itself. Nice one. Thanks, Paul.
Alrighty. Well, there are finds, and I believe we also have a few little thank yous and mailbag things to do.
Yeah. Do you want to thank our correspondents, and then I can do the rest?
Sure. So we would like to say thank you very much to Yannicka Vanderlind of Jackson Source magazine and website. You are amazing, and we appreciate everything you do for the MJCast and, of course, the Jackson family fans all around the world. So thank you, Yannicka. Thank you, Charlie Thompson, our legal correspondent. Always love hearing from you, and we look forward to having you back at some point guest on the show where we can chat together. Thank you, Stephen of Michael Jackson Fans for Charity. We love everything you're doing with the monthly giving campaign and also Moonwalk walks at the moment. So thank you. We love you. And also, not officially a correspondent, but Serena, thank you for your contribution to this week's episode where you talked about everything that happened at your experience at the Michael Jackson Diamond Celebration in Vegas.
And thank you for the audio of the Q&A session as well, Serena.
Oh, of
Much
course.
appreciated.
Yes.
Yeah, go check it out on YouTube if you want to hear what Brank has to say about stuff or not. My thank yous this week always, Carly. Thank you so much for being such a big support for us. And I'm sorry the Bombers didn't make it into the finals, the grand finals this year in the AFL. Nina, our special diva, thank you so much. Sarah Chainer on Facebook, just a little shout out. You've just discovered the show, so it's going to be an exciting journey for you.
Hi, Sarah.
Luca Balessi, my mate Luca in Melbourne that I met at our Dangerous 25 party the other year. Thank you so much for that link to the amazing acoustic mixes. I cannot wait to play them in future episodes. Loved them. Barrett Kristen and at MJ Quiz Cheater, Trevor Williams at Trevor_Ray_, at DJ Freeze NL, Nathan Venestra, and the fan forum. I want to give a special shout out to at C Moriz on Twitter and the Italian fan forum, Michael Jackson Fam Square Italy. So if you are an Italian listener, there is a fan forum that you should go and check out. And over on a certain forum, I want to give a special shout out to CM Strike. You stood up for us against a certain troll Nex. I saw that and you rock. So thank you very much. And in closing our mailbag, I just want to give a special thank you to Claudia Macha, Tony Lee Peters, Arnaud from Paris, Luke McConville, David Manley, Michael from Coachella, Charlie Carter, Tracy, Pamela Bejal, and Sean Fitzgerald for your emails. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're so lucky, aren't we, that all these great people listen to the show or help us out and give us information, and wow.
Yes, it is a lot. We get a lot from everyone, and I do apologize that I can't always reply. Sometimes they get lost. I just literally this moment, 1 minute ago, I got a tweet from Hoyts, Australia.
I saw that.
I'm going to read it. You did? I'm going to read it. It says, "Hi, unfortunately, we are not always able to screen every film which releases due to the amount of new releases at one time. We appreciate the feedback, which will be shared for review." And that was in response for them. I must have made another tweet about them not screening the Thriller. To be honest, it looks like they haven't even looked at what I was talking about. Hoyts are too expensive. I do not use Hoyts. I use Reading Cinemas. Hoyts are way too expensive. Ridiculous prices. That's our show. We're done. Wow.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap. That was a good one. I loved our chat with Courtney and Kam.
Oh, my God. Yes, totally. If you haven't, go subscribe to their podcast and then go subscribe to Damien Shields' podcast.
Yep, the podcast family is growing.
That's it. Jamon, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Carlos.
Oh, you're a dork. All right, I'm going to sign off. Michael on, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the MJCast. See you in a couple of weeks.
Keep Michaeling.
MJCast.